The Fat Mayo Experience.
Fat Mayo Experience. Fat Mayo Experience. Fat Mayo Experience. Experience.
Welcome to another edition of the Dogger Pass Podcast. This for UFC Fight Island 5. I'm Paul Shaughnessy, joined in studio today by Cody Saftic.
5, Paul. Fight Island 5. Booker T would be proud we've made it this far. And yeah, keep the good times rolling, hopefully, coming off the heels of last week, which was good in many ways.
3, 5, and 7 leg parlays. I got in on those. Those were a good time. There was one of the parlays. It was the PRP. I was just like, nah, not touching that one. Why? Because you selected Juliana Pena against... You know, I'm rarely right, but when I do, I'll boast about it. And she just couldn't deal with the strength, Cody.
Fair. Okay, so at least in my defense, first round, what does she think? Loses the first round, no doubt. What is she thinking? Doesn't pursue takedowns until the last 10 seconds of the round. You don't go into a fight with Germaine de Randamie, one of the most decorated kickboxers to fight in the UFC, her class, obviously. You don't go in there with the game plan of just stand and bang with this girl, and that's what she does for like 4 minutes and 50 seconds of the first round, loses the first round. Second round, close. I score for Pena because she finally gets that takedown.
She definitely won round 2.
She gets that takedown.
Yeah.
It's when Germaine de Randamie got up in some of the striking spots. She actually hit de Randamie a couple good times with some striking exchanges early in the second, takes her down, wins the second round. Mm-hmm. The third round, it's up in the air, man. It's 1-1.
It was okay. It was all like...
She was the last pick on the parlay.
Germaine could have
separated,
she was the landed a couple punches, and she would have won that round because Pena was... I mean...
What
was the name of that referee? Was it Kevin Sataki?
Yeah.
He would have broken that up off of the fence like 17 times at that point.
No doubt about it. No doubt about it. However, at least with the optics, it's like, you know what? Pena was holding her up against the cage for 4 minutes, and de Randamie landed a few knee strikes.
Minutes, but yeah.
No, but if you could have held it out for the rest of the round and just done that. She gets a little greedy, pursues that takedown, puts her neck into it, and the kickboxer, the decorated kickboxer, submits the decorated grappler and Juliana Pena. Yeah, too strong. So
this is what the people are here for.
A bet's a bet, and yeah, I did take a shoey bet.
In fairness to you, and I appreciate that you're going to go through with this. Yeah, Pena was way down your list of favorite plays. You just
we talked about it on the show.
You fell into the trap.
We talked about it on the show. I was like, Germaine is such a better kickboxer that if this ends up being a kickboxing match, I'm going to be looking like an idiot for taking Pena.
That's what round 1 looked like.
Yeah, but if Pena just makes this a grappling match, then she'll win. And then she waited a little long, but she tried to make it a grappling match, still fucking lost. So you have a good week, and you have still have to drink.
We're all having a good week watching you.
Oh yeah, great. Okay, so anyways, yeah, not to puss out completely because I am doing my bet, but it's a tall boy. I don't feel I'm gonna do the whole tall boy in the shoey, but I will take the equivalent of a beer, no doubt.
And where does the beer come from?
Okay, yeah. So I got a Bavaria straight from Holland because to give JDR her props.
Props to the Iron Lady.
You know, there's a saying, if you ain't Dutch, you ain't much. And in this case, JDR proved that was 100%. I thought it was going to be Juliana, the Venezuela is paying. But no. Definitely wasn't going that way. So shout out to Germaine. I'll have a Dutch beer in her honor. I want to get the iPad wet.
All right. Let's see it, kid.
Yeah.
It's what that's what, I mean, if we look at like the analytics here, we'll probably see that like everyone tunes out around like the 4 minute and 30. People are just here to see you do this, Shuey. It's what the people are here for. That's what I'm here for. Okay, I mean, we don't even have to talk about this card. As long as I get this on tape, we're good to go.
I'm not good at these, though. You are. The time you did it, it was like you were taking care of business, as if you've done it before.
I can drink a beer. Yeah, for sure.
Well, you lived in New Zealand. You tell the story about living in Fiji and New Zealand. And
I didn't drink all that much when I was out there. It's more the tree planting years. Drinking out of weird things becomes kind of like a fact of life. Matt Best behind the sticks there, struggling. He says he's got a bit of a soft stomach. Cody is going to work. I think you found the right boot this time. By the way, those are the shoes that Cody wore into this establishment. So that's probably going back on his foot once it dries out a little bit. You need some paper towels for that? Hey,
Did you get paper towels when you were in New Zealand, Paul?
No.
I think they spit in theirs, don't they?
Good work. That was your best chug other. You were ready. You mentally... You were in the zone for this one. I've seen you cough over them. Anyway.
The last
Cody
one,
Saftic.
What did I drink? It was a wheat beer, the last one. Holy shit. If you're sitting at home and you're ever like...
If you ever want to chug a beer out of your shoe, a Bavaria from Holland, not too bad, is what you're saying?
Yeah, I'm considering doing the other half, but do it
you
should
can
like
sip on
yeah.
it.
All right, I'm
You
just
can
gonna
sip
I'm
on
gonna enjoy this beer and we can talk some fights, Paul.
All right, let's get into it. We got main event, hell of a fight, bantamweight title challenger. I don't know, there's such a mess at the top of that division, but Corey Sandhagen takes on Magic Marlon Moraes. Corey Sandhagen is a minus 130 favorite. Moraes plus 110. Where's your head at after that beer and on this fight?
Yeah, my mouth's got this like tang to it. I don't know if it's the beer. I've never had the beer. The beer couldn't have a natural tang. It could be the salt from the last time I wore those boots is last winter. So
Maybe it's the salt from
the road.
picking Juliana Pena.
If you've ever had Bavarian,
salty.
if you're from the Netherlands and it's Bavaria. If you've ever had Bavaria, let me know. Let me know. Is it my taste buds or is it the beer? Jumping into this one, listen, I'm a Corey Sandhagen guy. I stand behind this guy all the time. He's got those intangibles that you really like. Young, he's dynamic with his striking, but he just pushes a great pace and has great cardio. Now, you don't have to be the technically better fighter if you've got a great gas tank. And this is one of those guys that embodies that. When he gets into striking exchanges with a superior striker like John Lineker, he just keeps going. He keeps going. He can put on this pace on you. Lands 120 significant strikes in that fight. And this is, you shouldn't be standing with Lineker, but the guy can kind of do it all. I'm pro Sandhagen. Team training at elevation. We talk about Drew Dober and his resurgence. We talk about Justin Gaethje and him killing it. We talk about Curtis Blades, best cardio in the heavyweight division. We talk about all these guys that are on a roll from that camp specifically, and he just fits on with them. So being so confident in Corey Sandhagen, I'm behind him going into the Aljamain Sterling fight. Now, seeing it on tape, it's pretty obvious. Corey Sandhagen struggles with takedown defense. That's kind of his issue. He's given up takedowns to just weaker competition. The fight prior to that against Rafael Assunção, he gives up 4. You just kind of knew maybe he does get taken down by Sandhagen. But my thinking is, kid's a BJJ brown belt, good grappling chops. Once he does eventually get back up, no problem. No problem. He got absolutely cut right through. Aljamain just takes him down like nothing, takes his back like nothing. Rear naked chokes him like nothing. That's probably why you're getting a minus 130 is he trustworthy? Does he have some issues? Does he still need to develop? Is he still missing some wrinkles to his game? But as far as how he matches up with Marlon Moraes is the better striker. But Marlon Moraes doesn't really carry that better striking advantage through to the later rounds.
No.
He used to routinely
He's super
go
dangerous early. He used to go to the distance.
Yeah, back in the
World Series
day.
of Fighting.
Sure. Back in the day, he used to go the distance. And you know something? The guy's got 30 pro fights. I don't think he's ever been knocked out. He's cast iron. He's really durable. But there's just a sense of like wear and tear to him. Like this guy has taken some damage. Now you look as far as his UFC run goes, the Rafael Assunção fight, he's low volume and loses a close split decision. The John Dodson fight, he's low volume but wins a split decision. The Aljamain Sterling fight, Jimmy Rivera fight, and Rafael Assunção fight, legendary. You knock out 3 badasses in the first round. Holy shit, puts him on the map. But you don't really see the low output go on. You don't see him get tired because he's just beating guys in the first round. Then you get the Henry Cejudo fight. He looks awesome in the first round, Paul. Looks good, solid. In the second round, about 2 minutes into the second round, he starts to get tired a little bit. In the third round, Henry Cejudo, the decorated wrestler, the Olympic gold medalist, is walking him down and just teeing off on him, and he kind of falls apart. The Jose Aldo fight, subsequently to that, his best round is the first round. And then the second round, he gets outstruck by Jose Aldo. 135 debut, aging Jose Aldo, soundly beats him the second round. And the third round is close. And I thought he won. And it's a split. And Dana White sits cage side and says, I actually thought Aldo won. I'm going to give Aldo the title fight. Like, I don't know. So what I'm getting at, though, is the Aldo fight is only 3 rounds. But he was already fatiguing as the later the fight wear. And the Henry fight's 5, but he doesn't make it past 3 because he's already starting to wear. And maybe that's what Sandhagen's got to do in this fight. He's just got to keep in it at least into these rounds 2 and rounds 3, and then from there, that output's got to take over. I feel like Marlon Moraes, even though I did mention he is the better striker, he's more refined, he's got more power. If he's only going to go out there and throw 60, 70 significant strikes, land 60, 70 significant strikes, and Sandhagen goes out there in a 5-round performance, can land over 100, over 120 maybe, it's just going to come down to output. So I think Sandhagen's going to want to wash the bad taste of his mouth off the last loss. I think he's motivated to get back in the win column. I think that Marlon Moraes, it's not that he's not motivated. It's that, he's already fought for the world title. He's already been at the highest level. He's been a champion in World Series of Fighting. He is now 32. He does have that mileage of 30 pro fights under his belt. It's It's just kind of, I don't know that Marlon is the, and when we sit here, Paul, and we talk about the best bantamweights in the world, right? And it's like, holy shit, man. You know, if Henry comes back, he's the best guy. And Peter Yan, Peter Yan's the second best guy.
Sterling's
and
waiting in the wings.
Aljamain Sterling's a total badass. And Cody Garbrandt, a former champ, he's all the way down on the rankings. Dominic Cruz, if he was to come back, he wouldn't even factor in. You got Merab Dvalishvili, you got Jimmy Rivera. They just cut Brett for the Pikey Johns because he doesn't even factor in. He got dusted.
That's because he probably wanted.
He got dusted by Pedro Munoz, who's a total badass, and doesn't even factor in. The division is just murderer's row.
It's
very, very easy
I think
to get
they just
lost.
prefer with a guy like Brett Johns. They're like, we could pay you like 60 and 60,
What?
but we
They
can
would
just
never
get.
pay Brett Johns 60.
But they could
wouldn't.
flood the entire division with.
They've just got so
12
many
and
guys.
12s, and that's what they're doing.
Right,
now.
and Sandhagen's right at the top of that list for me as well. And I feel that to a large extent, Marlon Moraes has been at that high level. I just don't know.
I'm not going to be shocked if we go out there. Sandhagen just has always historically, maybe he learns his lesson from mixing it up with Aljamain Sterling, that he knows there's levels to this, but he's always been open to scrambles on the ground. And he could get caught against a guy like Marlon Moraes in that position. The easiest spot, and I've seen a lot of people, other people, smart people on this concept, is you bet Sandhagen after he survives early on. Now, that being said, you may just lose a nice price by waiting, because if he comes out and has the early lead and then Moraes gets tired, you miss the spot altogether. But
that's interesting.
Moraes is definitely live here. It's a pick'em fight. And I
Right.
don't think it's too far off. Moraes could catch him, whether it's a knockout or submission early on. But I think Sandhagen, the longer this fight goes on, the volume that he puts on people and the pace that he sets, Marlon Moraes is not able to keep that pace.
Yeah, that's what I was saying. And with Corey Sandhagen, again, when you watch the Rafael Assunção fight, his problem is the takedown defense. Even Mario Batista takes this guy down. You can take this guy down. When he goes against Aljamain Sterling, he gets taken down. That's what leads to his demise. Marlon Moraes is not taking you down. I mean, yeah, I guess he's got a takedown on fight metric over Jose Aldo. He took Jose Aldo down, but it's like he's a striker. He's a striker first kind of guy. So with Corey Sandhagen, if it ends up just being striker versus striker, then I think that Sandhagen eventually prevails. But I think you nailed the other point here, is that this is a good live bet spot, because maybe it is and it isn't. I think that if Sandhagen's going to win and win this fight decisively, he's going to win those rounds decisively 3, 4, and 5, especially 4 and 5. Should. But when you go back, why is Marlon gassing in the UFC? Why is Marlon gassing in the UFC? Because he's coming out hot. Now, look at Marlon in World Series of Fighting, back when he was fighting those 5-rounders. Very slow starter. In fact, too slow of a starter. He loses the first round against Josh Hill. Josh Hill shatters his fucking nose. Like, man, so he's now changed his style to get a bit of a quicker start, but as a result, his cardio's he's not pacing himself the same.
Yep.
Sandhagen should beat him based on cardio. Maybe live bet is the move, but I think
wait for the danger zone. Wait until halfway through.
in a perfect world,
I mean, after round one, you probably have a good sense, and I feel like you avoid the Sandhagen gets absolutely flattened. Marlon Moraes can knock people out in round two, but like all of that big run of knockouts and stuff, it was all quick. It was all first round. That's where he puts in his most
that's why they call
devastating
him magic Marlon, right?
some
Sometimes
magic.
he can pull some magic out of his hat, but hopefully Sandhagen's wise to that. Not a guy that's shown chin issues, so hopefully he's able to prevail out of that one. But yeah, in a perfect world, we make our money on the other spots on this card, and by the time the main event comes, we got money. We've added to our bankroll. We can have a little fun. You always want money on the main event. Bet it when the main event comes, right?
Yeah.
Don't got to add it to anything early, because I don't think the price is going to change a whole lot on this one.
No, it's going to be
and
pretty simple.
I like a whole lot of spots lower.
Both guys are 100%. Like, it's not like we like Sandhagen, we're picking Sandhagen, but we're not going to be stunned if Marlon Moraes pulls it off. Like, that's what he's
Two
done.
of the top 10 guys in the division.
100%.
They're world class.
Co-main event, we've got Edson Barboza taking on Makwan Amirkhani. Edson Barboza, loser of 5 of his last 6 fights, the minus 260 favorite. Makwan Amirkhani is a plus 220. Here's the problem with Makwan Amirkhani. He can't fight 3 rounds. If he wants to utilize this wrestling approach, this wrestling game, we've seen Barboza just be able to withstand absurd amount of beatings against some of the best guys in the division. The Khabib fight going the distance with Khabib in a 3-round fight. The longer the fight goes, the better usually. Well, not the better. He slows down as well in round 3.
But he's shown durability.
He's
against
shown
the best
durability. He
grapplers of
doesn't
his
get
time.
submitted against better grapplers, I think, than
Yeah.
Makwan Amirkhani. He's fighting the best guys in the division. And on the feet, these guys are worlds apart. I watched back Makwan Amirkhani's fight against Shane Burgos. Now, I know that he's going to want, like in that fight, he's trying to stay out of boxing range. So he's staying a little bit further. But I was watching it the whole time, just like Edson is going to like wheel kick this guy in the head. And if he's hanging out at that distance from Edson, there's not much he's going to be able to do about it. He's going to have to push and pressure Edson Barboza. And I think coming in like that, I mean, he's going to eat a shit ton of leg kicks. Maybe he catches it, takes him down. I think Edson can survive. Won't get submitted. That is Makwan's path to victory, a submission in the first 2 rounds. But I think Edson cruises here. I don't think knockout is out of the realm of possibility. He's known as a decision machine, but I think I saw earlier on props like plus 100 for Edson Barboza by knockout. That is where my head's at on this. I think Makwan's. The problem is he can't go the third round. He just falls apart every single time. And
He's hurting at that point.
Against Barboza, that's a dangerous proposition. So I think the line makes sense. Barboza doesn't always finish guys, but I think he does get the finish in this one. What about you?
Okay, so I honestly do get the impression that Edson Barboza is shot porn, and you and I have talked about how this guy is like Wolverine, man. He's got this ability to rejuvenate after ass kickings and just come back seemingly as a better version of himself. And I don't know if it's starting to catch up with him, but it's like all of his losses dating back to being upset by Jamie Varner by knockout, being dropped by a jab by Donald Cerrone, then being submitted. Beyond all that, the Michael Johnson fight, he gets completely pieced up, but it's not a life-changing beating. He gets beat up pretty good. The Tony Ferguson fight, it's a life-changing beating. It's like, wow, how do you get that much damage and come back a new man? But he comes back even a better version of himself. The Khabib fight is a beating, Paul. But he comes back, gets Michael Johnson. The Michael Johnson fight, save for a wheel kick in like the 4th round, is a life-changing beating. But he's able to come back. He comes back from those beatings, all those beatings I named to this point, then he beats the shit out of Dan Hooker. Puts that same thing on him. Like, he doesn't slow down. A lot of guys, as they get older, they slow down. This wear and tear starts to add up to them. To him, it just didn't. Then he gets Gaethje, one of the best guys in the world, and gets knocked out bad. It's just another. Now he's losing to Paul Felder. Now he's losing to Dan Ige. And whereas you had to be Khabib or Tony Ferguson or Kevin Lee
That
to
Ige
take
fight
down
though
this guy.
too. Like a lot of people scored it for Edson.
He beat the shit out of
I
Ige
actually,
in the first round.
rewatching it, I think Edson won. And I had money on Ige in that.
I had money on Edson, but rewatching it prior to Ige's last fight against Cater, which I got wrong, I honestly thought, you know what? The first round, if he gets dropped in the first round, but outside of that, he works his way back into it. Now, the second round, he's not able to get the takedowns, so he's standing and striking with Edson. What? Say what? That was Edson's strong suit. If you had to take him down. All those other guys took him down, right?
Here's the thing.
Now maybe you don't have to. Maybe that leg kick's not there anymore. Maybe all these different things. Loses to Ige, as you mentioned. He's lost 5 of his last 6 fights. Then they book him against Sodi Qusuf. He's dead man walking, but then Sodi Qusuf pulls out.
Here's the thing about that Ige fight, though.
And now he's
I
got a
watched that
winnable fight.
Ige fight. I like watching both fighters at the same time a lot of the times. I watched Ige, and what Ige was doing was pressure boxing. Moving forward, he caught some leg kicks, but he wasn't staying at range. You don't want to stay at range because he knew that he had to just keep pressing forward. I'm not confident that Makwan Amirkhani can do that. Amirkhani, what he does have, his level change is half decent. He grasps the body lock pretty fast, but
Finnish wrestling champion.
I think he gives up a lot of strength to Edson. Edson's last fight was his first time at 145, so I think a consummate professional. He's going to be even better. Maybe.
How much does it take out of you?
I think it takes a lot out of him.
Trustworthy?
But
Is he trustworthy
it's going to
at
be
260?
easier the second time around. No, that's why I think the knockout. I see plus 135. Edson Barboza by knockout. That's my play.
Yeah, that's fair. That's fair. I just listen. I think that he matches up great with Amirkhani because the key difference, not only just the pressure game of Ige versus the lackadaisical stay at range game of Amirkhani, but Dan Ige's got a great gas tank. Dan Ige, who's on record signing off on EPO subscriptions for Ali. This guy just goes, man. I mean, he's got a great gas, whereas Amirkhani definitely fades. Now, factor that on, as we mentioned, Amirkhani stepping in for Sodi Yusuf. So he's actually coming in on short notice. Gas tank was a problem to begin with. If he goes out there and doesn't get these takedowns and just consistently get takedowns through at least 2 rounds, then Barboza pieces him up. I don't love the price tag at 260. Maybe chase a prop like you're saying. But I could also see Makwan getting real desperate and just shooting takedowns and just clinging on for dear life and trying to not engage. And if he doesn't engage and he tries to hold on, then it is going to go the distance.
Hold on in round 3. We've seen this guy flop around.
Give me a guy hurt in round 3, and it's the start of round 3. It's like they're just going to look to survive. And with Edson, Edson can put it on the way he did Dan Hooker. He killed Dan Hooker. Why can he not do the same thing? Because Amirkhani's not going to just stand there and get his ass kicked. He's at least going to just shoot desperation takedowns. That'll cause him to get tired even faster. I got Barboza. I don't love that 260 price tag. You'll end up on parlays, of course. But yeah, just at 34, now I'm starting to get the impression of wear and tear, don't know where he's at. He's second time at 45. Is he going to look really good? He should have been at 45 all along. Or is it going to look like, oh shit, man, your body's taking these cuts pretty bad, and Amirkhani all of a sudden wins the first 2 rounds and holds on? I don't know. I don't want to get into a dicey situation like that. But yeah, I'm going to take Edson Barboza in the spot.
The only time, the only time he's ever won by knockout was the Andy Ogle flying knee.
Oh my God.
That
OG fans of the show.
That cost me $17,000.
Yeah.
I mean, I didn't know it at the time.
It was a parlay piece.
8-second knockout.
The only piece of the parlay that was lost was Andy Ogle getting
He tried to throw that flying knee against Burgos too, and he just came off looking silly. I don't know. I think
his hands looked better in the Burgos fight, but he wasn't able to keep that going. That's the same thing. Like once he starts to get tired, then he just reverts back to his natural.
Every third round he gets tired. Like I just think Edson's
now he's on short notice.
I think Edson's going to spark him. Yeah, plus he's coming in on short notice. Give me Edson all day here. We got Ben Rothwell taking on Marcin Tybura. Rothwell -160 favorite. Tybura can be had for plus 140. Where are your thoughts at here?
Okay, so this is just a middling heavyweight fight that I think could go either way. I've got this problem where I pretty much always bet Ben Rothwell.
Same here.
A lot of it's matchmaking. I think that they
worked the last 2 times.
Yeah, well, at least it's worked the last 2 times. But I pretty much see him against his opponent. I'm like, oh, you know what? Big Ben is capable of defeating this man. And man, he is just so slow now, and he goes through the motions, and he's real hittable, and he's plodding, and he's flat-footed, and he's definitely one of these guys that the prime years of his career were probably spent on the sidelines with that PD suspension. At heavyweight, it's okay to be a little bit older, and you can get away with it. You can fight until your later years because everybody's tired. But when Blagoya Ivanov and Andrei Arlovsky, and Junior is a fast heavyweight. Andrei's considered a fast heavyweight. Blagoy's not. These guys are all moving in like hyperspeed compared to him. It's kind of sad to see. Now, Stefan Struve, geez, he's 7 feet tall. He can't move fast. He's just too damn big. And wouldn't you know it, Ben Rothwell looks awful in that fight. He loses the first round. He doesn't do shit. He loses the first round. It's awful to watch. The second round, he's doing nothing. And he lands the biggest colossal low blow. Kick to the balls. Boom. Struve's down.
Loses a point. And then knows that he's got to go into maniac mode. When he goes, he just got to come out in maniac mode.
Now, the Oben St. Preux fight, this is St. Preux's only fight at heavyweight. I mean, the guy's a good 205er, but he never fought at heavyweight. He takes this fight on short notice against Ben Rothwell. And it's like, again, all day I'm on Ben Rothwell, but he's so freaking slow that even though OSP's not doing anything and Rothwell's pressuring, he gets dropped at the end of the first, he gets stung at the end of the second. And even though he wins the fight, and I thought he won the fight, it is a close split decision. So every time you see him, it is frustrating to watch. It's hard to watch as a bettor. So when you see a price tag -160, I think it's coming down a little bit. He's a middling heavyweight. It's going to be dicey. You're going to have that sweat going on. But then Tybura presents all those same things. He's just so untrustworthy. Now, he's kind of looking better at times. But you got to hurt this guy to get his respect. Once you get his respect, he crumbles a little bit. And Rothwell, even though he's going to try to pressure him,
hasn't been knocked out since 2009. Cain Velasquez.
And if you remember that fight,
that's what I'm.
If you remember that
why
fight,
Rothwell is the play.
He's working his way up as he's getting. He eats so many punches. And he's working his way up when they stop it, and he loses it. He's like, "Why are you stopping?"
That's the major difference with these guys: durability.
Durability, you got one of the most durable guys, but he's slow, right? And you've got a guy that's got no durability in Tybura, but he's fast. He's fast for heavyweight. He's good. He's mobile. He's got good footwork. He's this former karate guy. If he just stays at range and just kicks, he is going to win this fight. He's just going to kick at range and win. Ben will try to pressure him. Ben will try to move through the fire and track him down, but he's so slow that if Tybura just moves out of the way,
but Ben
you've got to deal with Ben
maniac
for
mode.
15 minutes. For 15 minutes, you have to deal with Ben. Could go.
Yeah, but Ben will
and
probably
then
do. You're right,
bombs
though.
on you
The
because
first
he's got
4
a weird-
minutes,
he's got a
Tybura
weird
will probably
herky-jerky.
win. Maybe the move is. Well, then you missed the opportunity.
Nah,
If
it is. I'm going to take
think
Ben Rothwell. I
Rothwell's the pick
always
for
take
me.
Ben Rothwell, but it's going to be very frustrating to watch until he goes out there and lands them hands, which could take a round, it could take 2 rounds, it could take 3 rounds. The biggest takeaway when he beat Stefan Struve on the microphone afterwards, right? He's like, I should just fight every fight like I'm down a round. Yes, Ben. Yes, you should fight every fight like you're down. Just go for it because you're so durable. You can take what they got. You just got to throw a little bit more. Haven't quite seen that. And listen, he's not getting any younger. So, plus he's the king of Kenosha, right? And there's just so much shit going on. Is his gym operating? Like, is he? What's his camp been like? Like, who knows? But I got Ben Rothwell winning this fight. The first 4 fights on this card are like probably the toughest fight. This is a tough top of a main card. Once you get belong there, it's like you get some better takes. But so far through the first 3, I've got the first 3 favorites. Yeah.
All right, we got Dricus Du Plessis taking on Marcus Perez. Du Plessis minus 155 favorite. Perez plus 135. Watched Dricus Du Plessis. His 2 fights against your boy, Croatian sensation.
Soldich is a beast, though, man. You gotta admit that,
Soldich,
man.
no, those were a hell of a fight.
Yeah,
like
that's world class fighting.
That was world class fighting right there. I didn't love. I watched. I'd watched one of his recent fights at middleweight first, and like he's fighting kind of scrubs in EFC, and I didn't love what I saw. I didn't love his stance, but then watching the Soldich fights, it's just like, all right, this guy can bang with legitimate competition. Went back, watched some Marcus Perez fights, and this guy's kind of just a goofball out there.
Yeah, 100%.
I was hoping, guy coming in to the UFC, you making UFC debut or whatever, and just like, I don't know, Du Plessis, especially in like the KSW fights, just like that's in front of a massive crowd, all the pressure. He's in a championship fight, headlining in a card. They take it super serious over there. Like all of those, the butterflies in your stomach and stuff should be gone or minimized against a guy like him. I like Dricus quite a bit in this spot. What about you?
Yeah, I like Dricus as well. I don't love that he's got to make his UFC debut coming in on short notice because originally it's supposed to be Marcus Perez versus Rodolfo Vieira. So at least Perez will be full camp. But that spot versus Rodolfo Vieira, it's almost tailor-made for Vieira. You put it on the main card because of Rodolfo Vieira, the undefeated BJJ specialist. As far as what's Perez going to do against Vieira, well, he's got to keep him up. But his takedown defense is not that good. His striking, yeah, like you said, it's a lot of like, as Robin Black would call it, flim-flam. It's just like, it's lackadaisical. It's like water gun striking. It doesn't really have a whole lot of power. It's not even really the cleanest, but he touches you up. He moves out of there. He is fast. He's got decent footwork. He's just kind of in and out with you a little bit. I just don't think he's overly the strongest guy going. And as far as his BJJ black belt, I just don't think he's like a world-class BJJ black belt. He's not the kind of guy that, like, if he does get you down, I'm going to be super worried. He does have a good Darce choke. He does have a nasty setup to that. Maybe he's able to catch Marcus or with Dricus Du Plessis and something. But as you mentioned, Du Plessis is a little more just like battle tested than your average guy coming in and making his UFC debut. On top of being the former EFC Africa champ, he had fought 5 rounds for the promotion. They were bringing in guys. He had beat everybody in South Africa. Mm-hmm. By the way, this guy, I'm a bit of a fanboy. He's my favorite. He's my second favorite South African fighter of all times.
Who's your favorite?
Trevor Prangley, man. Trevor Prangley's the legend. This guy, I know who you're thinking of. That giant heavyweight, Juan Potts.
I'm trying to get my
Juan Potts.
My Barboza by knockout.
But they're bringing. Okay, do whatever you want. But yeah, these guys.
I'm listening.
Well, you're trying to bet Edson Barboza.
I don't want to miss the line.
I
don't want to miss the line, Cody. You understand?
I guess so.
Anyways,
he beats everybody. He beats
Points
everybody
matter.
in South Africa. So they start bringing in guys for him. And again, he looks pretty good. I believe he's a BJJ black belt. He's got a good back take. Once he does get on your back, he does like going to the body triangle, backpack you, fish for the submission. But his striking something that is left to be desired. Siding with KSW, he gets a title fight right off the get-go. His KSW debuts against Roberto Soldich, and he goes out there and knocks him out. He gets hurt in the first round, but he's durable. He's got some perseverance to him. He's got a good ground game, and his striking is improving. He goes out there and he knocks him out in the second. He gets the rematch against Soldich, and he unfortunately loses in the third. But he's competitive. As you mentioned, you watch those fights. He's competitive, fighting KSW, world stage. Mm-hmm. Once he loses to Soldich, he gets to fight with Boris Mankowski. Boris Mankowski is a star in KSW, right?
Yep.
Short, but powerful, stocky little guy, big star over there. Du Plessis misses weight. Actually, the fight gets called off because he's ruled medically unfit to fight at 170 pounds. So now he moves to
Like,
185.
he looked pretty jacked at 170 in those Soldic
Right,
fights,
exactly. Now he's at 185, and he actually has won his last 2 fights against Jolton Santos, second round knockout at KSW. Goes back to EFC Africa, beats a guy that shouldn't have been in the
He was
ring
like
with
a
him.
3-0 guy.
Shouldn't have
He
been in the
didn't
ring
look
with him.
very
The
good.
fuck are you 3-0 fighting a guy who's 13-3, getting
And
ready
fought
for
on the
run?
world stage.
Right, is a former champion in KSW and EFC Africa. You're 3-0. You're fighting this guy. Like, you got balls, bro. You got balls, but that's about it. No brains. No brains.
Yeah.
And he wins that fight. Now he's coming in the UFC. Again, he's got a good ground game. I think that his ground game is comparable to Perez and that he'll be able to keep up. But the striking, he should have a striking advantage. And he should be tough to take down. Even though he's coming up to 185, he does got the last 2 fights in. He's filling out his frame. He doesn't look like the smallest guy going. When you're ruled medically unfit by
He
a
looked-
Polish doctor,
Yeah.
they're normally like, don't you worry about it. Do what you got to do. No, this guy's like, whoa, you're a giant welterweight. You need to fight at middleweight. I don't think he's going to have that size problems. Now, can't discredit Marcus Perez completely, but Marcus Perez's debut against Eric Anders, he goofs around, gets taken down, has no way up. Where's his submission game? Not there. Gives up 2 takedowns to Eric Anders. Then he beats James Boknovic. Oh, come on. Cut from the UFC, never won a fight in the UFC. Should have been in
One
the
of the
UFC.
worst of all time.
Then he loses to Andrew Sanchez. He's got no pace. And without, like, he just doesn't, if he can't take you down, where's that BJJ? When he does take you down, the BJJ's not quite there. Beats Anthony Hernandez. Oh, come on. Anthony Hernandez never won a fight in the UFC and shouldn't have been there. So again, it's just he's beaten very low level. Then Wellington Turman just drags him to the ground and outpowers him. I think Dreykus is going to be stronger, even though he's coming up that weight class. I think he's going to be stronger, and I think he's going to just outstrike Perez enough to eventually clinch with him, to eventually peel him down, and it's going to be that little bit better striking and a little bit better groundwork and a takedown here and there should carry Dreykus over. Now, last thing is that Perez is unbelievably durable. At the very least, the guy's super tough.
100%. He doesn't get
BJJ black
finished.
belt, cast iron chin. He's not getting knocked out. Dreykus has shown some power, but I don't think he knocks out Perez. And even though he's shown some BJJ, he's not submitting Perez. So if you want to improve on that minus 155 price tag on Plessis, and you do have him, you go with him by decision. Outside of that, you maybe take this fight by decision because I don't really think Perez finishes Duplessis as well.
I see plus 350s out there for Dreykus by decision.
So as far as a prop bet goes on like a decision thing, yeah, I think
I like
think
where
you
your head's
can
at
do
there.
A lot worse than that.
I'll probably get you real.
You can bet that on the next one.
I'll
While
probably,
I talk
while
about
you're
the next
talking on
one.
the next one, I'll probably make a little wager on that. Just a sprinkle. All right, we got Tom Aspinall taking on Alan Baudot. Tom Aspinall, minus 500 favorite. Alan Baudot, plus 400. We have talked over the years about banana peel pricing, and we have like the heavyweight division, yada, yada, yada. Well, you know, Tom Aspinall was probably not enough of a favorite against bloated middleweight, arguably welterweight, Jake Collier in his last fight. Wasn't really taking on a heavyweight. The line was inflated, but just like we have a heavyweight taking on not a heavyweight. In this fight, I watched Alan Baudot against Todd Stout.
Yeah.
A local guy here. Cody's booked him in some fights and so on and so forth.
I have.
And I mean, obviously, on the record, you gotta dig a little bit deeper. But Baudot gets finished in the second round of that fight. It's credited as a win because Todd Stout tested positive for marijuana.
And it's a win, not even a no contest.
Yeah, not even a no contest.
Win.
He had a couple nice like hip tosses. He's a judo guy.
He's a judo guy, yeah.
But he's a 205 pounder. I know he's 6'4". Maybe the guy comes in and he's like put on a whole bunch of weight because that was quite a while ago when he fought Stout. But we have a heavyweight taking on not particularly large light heavyweight, tall, but I didn't really see the muscular structure or anything like that. Those judo tosses are all well and good. I just don't think they work against an actual heavyweight when you're trying to push around like another 30 pounds, like a bigger guy, stronger guy. I don't like his chances much at all. I mean, minus 500 is expensive, but I think Tom Aspinall is still kind of a parlay piece at that, and he'll be a focal point when we talk about DraftKings, I imagine.
Yeah, I would say if you're looking to make a bet that you bet Tom Aspinall because the price is just going to keep going up and up. He opened at 350 and that was like a gift from the gods. And he's 500 now and it still seems pretty too good to be true. You don't want to bet middling heavyweights once he gets to like 600-700. But as far as 500 goes, he's probably going to end up being a key parlay piece. Tom Aspinall's got all the advantages in here. They're looking to profile Tom Aspinall in this spot. Listen, why is this fight on the main card, first of all, right? You got Tom Aspinall versus Sergey Spivak. They're looking to promote Tom Aspinall. Alan Baudot shouldn't be in the UFC, I don't believe. His career is just not really to that caliber so far. Whereas Aspinall's exciting, man. He's young. He's got great hands. He's very mobile for a heavyweight. When you see him, this is like one of the few heavyweights that actually has abs on him. Like he's in really good shape. He's got excellent footwork. His boxing is really good. The whole story is that he's Darren Till's training partner. They're good buddies. They're out of the same camp, and they've got a similar brash type attitude. And this guy's going to be like the next Darren Till. He's going to emerge, and he's very, very self-confident, and you're going to like this guy. The other angle on him is that he's a former pro boxer and was a sparring partner for Tyson Fury, helped Tyson Fury get ready for the Klitschko fight. There's a lot that you can like about Tom Aspinall. When you look at his regional show career, they just don't really have a whole lot of guys for him to fight, but he's smoking through them. Sofian Bukachu is actually a training partner of Alan Baudot. And Bukachu, I mean, he goes out there, lights him up a little bit with his hands, checks a kick and breaks his leg, man. Woo-hoo-hoo. It's nasty. Then he gets this Michael Ben Hamuda, and he just takes him out in 56 seconds. He gets Jake Collier, takes him out in 45 seconds. You're not able to see what he looks like in a second and a third round. We'd like to see somebody extend him out a little bit, no doubt about it. But Aspinall is a young, exciting heavyweight, and the UFC is looking to showcase a guy like that. Again, he's got good lineage, good pedigree, trains with guys that are popular in the UFC. Everything for him to be a potential star. They just got to move this guy along. So now you got Alan Baudot. Alan Baudot's entire career has just not really led up to anything. So as you mentioned, he's a former judoka. I've only got him listed as a brown belt. I don't know if he was a black belt. If he is a black belt, he's not a competition black belt. He's not a guy that's gone out there and won stuff. We'll talk about another judoka on this card later on. But he's not somebody that's like international acclaimed and like really good. His debut happens in Japan, from France, lives in Japan. And that Gary Juriyama, it's a freak show fight, okay? He fights Yuji Sakuraji, 15-22. It's a freak show fight. Open weight, freak show fight, right? He's fighting guy 0-0. He fights for the Heat heavyweight title against Yusuke Matsumata. It's 6-11-3. They're all freak show fights, Paul. Then he gets Dalka Langiambula, who's in the UFC, is a 205er in the UFC.
A Jack 205.
And he lasts 26 seconds because the second Dalcha, who's not a freak show fighter, everybody else he's fought to this point is a freak show fighter. Dalcha's not a freak show fighter. The second Dalcha fucking touched him, he flopped right over 205er. Keep that in mind. Well, you know what? You got to get back in the win column. So he does against Yuto Nagashima. 0-2. Why are you fighting an 0-2 guy? Because you got to get a win.
Because you got to get back on track, Cody.
Then he takes the Todd Stout fight. Now, Todd's an okay talent. Yeah. Todd would probably be...
very good local guy. He's fought all the...
Solid local guy. He's
on the rungs to the top level.
If he wasn't a convicted rapist, he probably already would have signed with the UFC.
I didn't think you were going to go there.
Well, there's a reason why Todd Stout doesn't fight in the UFC. Todd Stout's a banger, okay? He likes to go out there and put on a show. He likes to land those hands. He's got a lot of power. He's got a great following. He's the Black Hulk Nation. That's who he is, okay? He cannot wrestle. He cannot grapple. All of his losses are because of that exact reason. And he sure as shit has never submitted anybody in his career. He is an entertaining brawler. Fun. Getting more technical with the stand-up. But as a stand-up fighter. Where was the judo then? He can't take Stout down. He's largely...
He had a hip toss in round one, and then I think he had another one in round two. They were pretty. They looked nice. But he ends up getting pounded and works on the ground. Yeah.
And then he tires. Stout's a 205er. Stout's entire career has been at 205, okay? He starts to get tired. He starts to fatigue. Now he can't take him down, and he gets choked out by Todd Stout, okay? That was over a year ago. It was a year and a half ago. He got choked out, Todd Stout. First and only submission victory of Todd Stout's career. A year ago. And then Todd Stout tests positive for He's coming off a fucking loss, not a win. It looks like a 2-fight win. It's not. It's not.
No.
And by the way, when Tom Aspinall touches him, it's going to look like a lot like when Dalcha touched him. He's going to knock him the fuck out.
Yep.
This Baudot guy is a dead man walking on the green mile. He's going to give up 30 pounds coming into this fight anyways. I couldn't in good conscience, other than like you're saying, there has been an angle in the past where it's like, oh, heavyweights be heavyweights.
He's not fighting a heavyweight. That was my point of it, though, is that he's fighting a light heavyweight.
Yeah.
He's
Baudot's got
a
one thing.
A bloated light heavyweight.
Aspinall,
we still haven't even really learned too much about him in the UFC because he's taken a bloated middleweight and now a bloated light heavyweight. But yeah, the heavyweight wins in this spot.
Yeah, and you could say, geez, Baudot is a training partner Francis Ngannou, and he's a training partner of Cyril Gagné. It's like, nah, dog. They grapple on weekends.
He comes in on the end of the
yeah,
cycle.
like he's not sparring these guys, and if he is, they're holding back. That's for goddamn sure. I just honestly think that he probably gets melted inside of one round.
Same here.
If it turns out Aspinall doesn't have a good gas tank and gasses out after one, great. But even then, I don't see where Baudot's a threat. So he shouldn't be in the UFC. It's a short notice spot. They're on Fight Island. They need someone that's local from Europe. He's from France. He comes in perfect. It's a good guy to step in and fill that void. Not a heavyweight, but now he's going to fight. When I looked at Aspinall, he had never fought lower than 244. He had never fought higher than 256. He made his amateur debut when he was 19 years old as a heavyweight. Fucking guy's a big guy, and he's filled out into that frame over the years. So he's up Schitt's Creek, man. He's got a lot going against him. And at the current price tag, it's Aspinall all day. Once Aspinall gets to 700, I have to parlay it. Or are you taking my knockout?
I mean, you're gonna parlay it anyway at that price.
Well, because I'm gonna
That's
tweet
how
out
you do.
parlays.
That's how you do things anyway.
I'm gonna tweet parlays, and then even though a guy's 500, 300, 400, whatever, they're at the top of that parlay. Aspinall's that guy. Do I want a heavyweight at the top of my parlay? No. But if it was Romanov and Romanov's at the top of the parlay, sometimes it's a heavyweight, I get it, but you just got to roll with it. Baudot's not a heavyweight. You nailed it best. Heavyweights be heavyweights. Nah, this is light heavyweights be light heavyweights, which isn't a saying. So, move.
It'll be I want to see what Baudot looks on the scales, I guess. I already have, I parlayed Aspinall and Edson earlier in the week.
Fair enough.
The prices were a little bit better than they are now. I think Aspinall was like minus 400, and Edson. I just wanted to get in some action, and Edson was minus 225 at the time. And by the way, I got the Duplessis by decision prop in while you're talking there.
There you go.
Like clockwork. Nice. All right, let's move on. We got this one looks like a really fun fight. I don't have a hot take on it yet. I'm hoping that you do. We got Yusuf Zalel taking on Ilia Topuria. Zalal, who's looked great in his UFC tenure here. He's minus 185 against the newcomer, 8-0, plus 160 for Topuria, who I've looked at some highlights and stuff. This looks like a fun prospect.
Yeah, no doubt about it. I honestly am very tentative. Would love to have a better lean on both sides, but I'm going to go with Topuria as my dog number one on this card.
Okay.
I know that Zalal's popular because he's won 3 fights in the UFC, and they've all been this year.
Factory X
Muay Thai. He's young. I think he's 24 years old. Moroccan Devil, LFA veteran. He's cashed some nice tickets for people in the UFC so far, so he's becoming, I'm not going to say a fan favorite, but he's getting a little bit of respect, and people definitely like this guy. Yeah, no doubt about it. And the other thing, too, is when he comes from LFA to the UFC, I mean, this guy's just a striker. You know, he's got decent Muay Thai. He's got really good footwork. He's very agile, likes to stay on the outside, decent kicks. He just absolutely crushes a man with a flying knee to get his contract in the UFC. And by the way, that's important because that's just the second knockout of his entire career. Not really a power puncher. But when he comes to the UFC, he shows you, oh shit, no, he's not a striker. He likes to grapple. He goes out there against Austin Lingo. He just likes to grapple. He goes out there against Jordan Griffin. Same thing, just likes to grapple. In fact, Griffin's taken him down a few times. But he works his way through it. And then he gets slippery Pete Barrett. Not a great fight, but at the same time, you go out there, you beat a guy who's on short notice and probably shouldn't be there and with you. And he's young. He's only 23 and he takes that fight. He's 24 now. But this is how you develop. 3 fights in 1 year. Perfect. Realistically, he's got how many fights in his career? 12 fights in his entire career. And this is going to be his 4th fight. This is how you develop. This is how you get it. Perfect. But there's spots in all those fights where you see, shit, he's still really green. Austin Lingo pressures him a lot, and he doesn't really have an answer to the pressure. Then he just goes to the takedowns, bails him out of that spot. Jordan Griffin fights him tooth and nail. Very close fight. And Griffin takes him down, and is able to control him, and is able to take his back. That's all not great. And against Pete Barrett, well, Barrett's just not all that good, so it's easier to look a little bit better against him. But you see where, as we mentioned, he's young, and he's developing. Topuria is young and developing. I completely get that as well. He's in a similar boat. But at least he doesn't have to make his UFC debut against a 32-year-old who's got 10 fights in the organization. At least it's like, okay, it's another fellow young up-and-coming prospect. You know, Yusuf Zalal, it's not too long ago that this guy's losing fights in LFA against guys that should have no business being in the ring with him, right? That's just a year ago. That's 2019. That growth still has to happen. So anybody can come in and teach this kid a lesson. Topuria is a BJJ black belt. He's only 23 now. He achieved his BJJ black belt at 21. It's like a lot of, it's pretty crazy. But there's something weird about this guy I just can't quite figure out, right? So he says he's born in Germany, but he's rocking the Georgia flag, country, not the state.
And he's fighting out of Alicante, Spain.
And he's fighting out of Alicante, Spain. So you go to his Instagram, and it's like 23-year-old, up-and-coming, struggling prospect trying to make ends meet. What? No, this guy's fucking driving sports cars. He's like filthy rich.
Yeah.
And you know what?
I'm looking at it right now.
Maybe those are just opportunities. His sponsor was like, hey, let's take some pictures. Nah, dog, his last name's on the license plate. It's his car. He's got Beamers. He's got Mercedes. He's living the life. He's standing on the car. Normally that gets you killed. But
I'm looking at the picture.
And he's in a beautiful part of Spain, and this guy is living and he's shredded. Looks in really good shape.
Family rich or something?
Okay. His striking, as far as tape goes, you see his striking on tape. Not bad, man. Right? He's got power. It's a little stiff.
He's a finisher. Most of his fights, first round
Almost
finishes.
all. That's one concern is that I think Zalal's got good cardio. So if Topuria doesn't put him away in the first or second round, and he's got to settle for going the distance with this guy, is he going to just completely fall apart? But he's a bantamweight. Bantamweights have less problem with cardio than, middleweights and welterweights and light heavyweights and heavyweights. The bigger you get, the more chance you get of
a general rule, of course, yeah.
A small little flyweight or a 35er, it's like they should be able to fight for at least 2 rounds. Even though Topuria's coming on a short notice, it seems like this guy is considered a good prospect. He's got some wins. You'd like to see him fight better guys, but all the same, he goes out there and he just takes care of business. They've been giving him some okay guys. He traveled to Finland, fighting in his opponent's backyard, and he smokes them out of there. He's got a good guillotine choke. He's got good submissions. His striking looks like he's got good power. It's just, again, it's a little bit robotic. I think Zalal's the better striker, and that Zalal just stays to the outside and picks and chooses. But Zalal in all of his fights so far, right? This is the numbers on his 3 fights in the UFC. He's completed the Austin Lingo fight. He scored 6 takedowns against Austin Lingo. The Jordan Griffin fight, he took down Jordan Griffin. Actually, didn't take down Jordan Griffin. He was taken down by Jordan Griffin, but there's scrambles and all that. And then the Pete Barrett fight, he takes down Pete Barrett 3 times. Even though he's got this idea of, he's a striker, he's relying on the takedowns. I don't think the takedown's going to be there against Topuria. So now if he has to strike for 15 minutes, he's been getting outstriked by these guys in his fights.
And this guy, Topuria, looks like he can pack a punch. Like that overhand right is pretty vicious.
So if you're going to talk about the first dog pick of the card, might as well make it a greasy dog pick. And that is Zalal opens at minus 260.
Yeah.
And then drops 100 points to minus 165.
I mean,
People will say soft opening. People will say soft opening.
Yeah, of course.
I'm going to say this guy and his clan of people, they know
it doesn't take long.
He's got
like
backing.
you look at some.
He's got backing.
You type in Ilya Topuria into YouTube and you watch a little bit of tape and you're like, oh, this guy isn't just a schlub prospect. This guy looked good. And it should probably be closer to a pick'em. So I
also saw this Instagram video where it's a Q&A, and they ask a little man by the name of Merab Dvalishvili, who he thinks should be the next guy in the UFC, and he's like this kid. He's like Topuria.
You probably want some of those bucks wherever this guy's getting that Instagram
This guy
money
don't
from.
fight nothing like Merab Dvalishvili. Don't fool yourself. He left Georgia, ended up in Germany, and later Spain. He's more of a finesse grappler and a better striker probably. But he's so young at 23. They given him a 24-year-old. He needs to develop as well. He could develop here. I'm gonna tentatively make him my first dog pick of the card at plus 160, but this is not a card. This is not the one I got.
Don't go and bet it yet because you could change by the time we get to the PRP.
Well, it'll probably be low in the PRP. So I'd like to put some of those dog plays lower. But hey, let's talk about dog plays because there's dog plays in this bottom end.
All right. I need some help with you on this next one because I wasn't able to find any recent tape on KB Bhullar, and I know that you've watched the actual fights, but he takes on Tom Breese, and let's call it spade a spade. We're always looking for opportunities, especially when Tom Breese is a minus 260 favorite. It's just give me someone with a pulse, someone with a little bit of heart, someone who can hang in whatever range this fight ends up taking place and cause some problems for Tom Breese, who hasn't had the best history of showing up to the fight on fight day. He's got a little bit of mental issues and stuff. But we're looking for an opportunity. Is KB Bhullar the guy at plus 220 to get the job done here?
Yeah, I'm willing to take a shot on KB Bhullar at those odds, just because, again, it's very big odds.
Tell me about him, because I wasn't able to watch his last 2 fights because I just couldn't find them on the internet.
Okay, so as much as KB Bhullar's got stuff going for him, I think the bigger story is Tom Breese. Tom Breese is known to get put in a spot. We like him. He's got good skills. He's got great technical boxing. His BJJ is pretty swift. It's pretty good. He just doesn't come through in these spots. The wins he has in the UFC, Louis Jutra, Cathal Pendrick, Kaida Nakamura, they've all since been released. That's fine. The win over Sean Strickland, I don't even know. Or sorry, he lost to Sean Strickland. I don't even know where Sean Strickland is. Beats Dan Kelley. This is where I want to start talking about him. The Dan Kelley fight is actually his middleweight debut. Prior to that, he had been fighting at 170 pounds. Coming up to 185 pounds, that's new territory for him. Because now he's not this big 6'3" welterweight with some size to him and some long southpaw boxing from the outside, crisp hands. Now he's a middleweight. Now he's going to have to fight some better guys. But they give him Dan Kelley, who has no knees, can't move, very stiff, very rigid. He looks good against Dan Kelley. There's a 2-year layoff in between that appearances, between beating Dan Kelley and the next time you'd see him in the UFC against Brendan Allen. But the Cesar Ferreira fight, he pulls out of, right? Then he has just a bunch of canceled bouts. Then the Ian Heinisch fight. This is booked for UFC on ESPN 5, okay? Going in, it's like the day of the fight, man. He has like an anxiety attack. It's listed as a panic attack. Like you talked about some mental illness. You have a panic attack backstage before a fight with Ian Heinisch, who has never had a panic attack. That guy's life is like, oof, he's had to overcome some shit. No time to panic, man. You just got to react. You pull out of the fight, okay? When he comes back against Brandon Allen, that's the first time since Heinisch. He didn't fight for a year after the panic attack. Then he comes back from the panic attack. This is only his second fight at middleweight. And it's realistically the other fight was against Dan Kelley. His second fight at middleweight, coming back from the panic attack, year-long layoff, he got smoked out of there by Brandon Allen. Now, mind you, Tom Breese never been knocked out. Tom Breese never been hurt by a punch. Tom Breese got absolutely smoked out of there by Brandon Allen, who's an up-and-coming prospect. That's bad news for Breese. Since then, it's been another 8 months. You don't know how good he is at middleweight. You don't know where the guy's head at. You don't know if... That was his first time getting knocked out. The panic attack was before the knockout. Do you think it's going to get any better? Do you think that's just a weight lifted off his shoulders? Do you not think he's going to be thinking, what if I get knocked out again? Like, it's just compounded. So now you talk about a guy that his best days were at 170, right? His best days are at 170. He comes to 185, sure. KB Bhullar is 6'4". He's a big guy. This is not just a decent-sized middleweight. Because I don't think Breese is the biggest middleweight, even though he's 6'3". Don't get me wrong. His frame's not that big.
No.
That punching power was good at 170. It's not that good at 185, I don't think, unless you're Dan Kelley. If KB Bhullar just takes those punches, he's going to just grind away at him. Now listen, KB Bhullar had fought virtually nobody until he fought Matt Dwyer's last time out. Matt Dwyer, former UFC veteran himself, fought in the UFC at 170, probably shouldn't have been at 185, and it's a 5-round fight. It's actually 2-2 going into the 5th, and Bhullar perseveres. But Bhullar's he's training with Tanner Boser, right? They got a really good thing going on in that gym right now. Everybody's motivated. Everybody's making a lot of improvements. This guy's a big body. This guy's undefeated. He had a 5-year layoff during his career. Didn't take any wear and tear. Sharpened his tools. Got better at his ground game. But now you're seeing him at he should have been on Contender Series. And he was supposed to be on Contender Series. Breeze has Kopylov pulls out. Breeze needs a replacement. Bhullar and them, they're confident. They're confident that Breeze has got problems. And this kid's going to go out there and expose their arms. How's his game? You know what? He's a striker-first kind of guy. I think his striking it's good. It's accurate. I wouldn't say it's as good as Breeze. But Breeze has trouble maintaining that good striking beyond the first round. So if it goes out there and it's competitive through the first round, and all of a sudden Breeze starts getting touched up a little bit, going to the second and third, then I think Bhullar pulls ahead. And the other thing with Breeze having that anxiety attack and then coming off the first knockout loss, I wouldn't put it past that Bhullar, who's not a known power puncher, doesn't just cause this guy to want a way out. Your brain's telling you, I don't fucking want to be here. And now the cage door goes clink and you have to fight. When you get put in a bad spot,
maybe Breeze,
it doesn't say power through, man. Doesn't say power through. No, it says I don't want to be here. That's a bad thing to bet on.
No crowd could be good for this guy, though.
-2, no, because he's going to hear the corner be like, he's breaking. Look at him, he's breaking, he's getting tired. And it's going to fucking break him.
Maybe the anxiety for him came from having to strip down to his underwear and fight to the death with people in front of 10,000, 20,000 people. And millions at home.
Could be. Listen, I don't know.
I'm not a psychiatrist here.
Right, clearly not. Clearly both of us are not. But that's dog pick number 2. And am I super confident? No. I'm basically fading Breeze as much as I'm picking KB. I think KB's got good skills. I think he's green. He needs to develop. I'd rather see him on Contender Series. But an able-bodied guy with some durability and a willingness to go out there and put a performance on his UFC debut is enough. And he's had 2 fights fall out. He's had more than enough training camp. He's not going to come in short notice. Okay. He's ready, full camp, ready to roll. And it's going to be a close first round. Breeze might even win the first round. But I got a feeling that KB takes over after that. So 220 underdog. And he'll be way at the bottom of the ticket. But KB Bhullar.
All right, we got Rodrigo Nascimento taking on Chris Daukaus. Rodrigo Nascimento minus 265 favorite, Daukaus plus 225. I mean, it was only months ago where we got Rodrigo Nascimento against Dante Males at plus 100.
I know. What was up with that?
And then they opened this at minus 300. And I know you go through like Rodrigo's Instagram and stuff. He's at ATT. He's putting in time with JDS. He's putting time with. He's got all the good coaching and stuff around him. But I think I agree with the line movement here. This fight is a lot closer than I think. I think Rodrigo's good. He's a 27-year-old heavyweight. Heavyweights typically develop like into their 30s.
I
right?
agree.
So he's super, super young, raw. I think he gets by Daukaus here. Daukaus kind of just comes out, throws some heat with the hands early on in most of his fights, and if he's able to survive, it's going to be a lot better volume, a lot more technically sound striking coming from Daukaus than what you get from Males. But I believe that I think Rodrigo Nascimento is going to get through it. If he gets this fight to the ground, Daukaus is at Martinez, BJJ.
He's actually a ground fighter, yeah.
Most of his fights, though, you go through his record. It's all on the feet that most of the work gets done. I think he'll probably be able to hang. Rodrigo Nascimento, I'm guessing, has the advantage on the ground. But at minus 265, minus 300. I would need it to drop considerably more than this. And I don't think it's going to get, I would want like minus 150, minus 175 to jump on board here. Minus 265. Like we have a long ways to come down for me to get too excited about this play. So it's a pass, but Nascimento's the pick.
Yeah, you know what? I think it's going to be a pass as well. I could be talked into the dog as well. It could be another dog or pass situation. Like I could see making a third straight dog selection on Chris Daukaus over Rodrigo Nascimento. Nascimento, yeah, okay, he's 27 and he's a heavyweight, big heavyweight, tall guy, got good BJJs, a black belt, and he's training at ATT. That's all good narrative stuff. But as far as what we've seen on tape, like, man, he's very green. He's still got a ways to go. His fight with Michael Martinez, which is his Contender Series fight, that was his first fight in 3 years. And you know what? He rolls on top of him. He gets on top of him. He submits him first round. Don't really know what his gas tank's like. Don't really know what he's at. But his striking looks very slow. Well, I wouldn't say slow. It's very plodding. It's a work in progress. Mm-hmm. You see improvements between the Martinez fight and the Dante Mays fight. Like, being at ATT, he's working on this shit. He's just not quite good at it yet. But his takedowns are not very good. He likes to prefer to get double underhooks, try to get a waist lock, body lock on you, take you to the ground.
Works against a guy like Mays who has
works on a pro boxer like Mays who's got no takedown defense, and even then it takes him 2 rounds to get Mays out of there. So it's like he's not as soon as you hit the ground you're getting submitted. Now with Daukaus, it's like, oh, we haven't seen a whole lot of Chris Daukaus' grappling. Chris Daukaus is the older brother of fellow UFC veteran Kyle Daukaus, who is a black belt, or I think he's a brown belt. But he's a good grappler. He's a submission expert. We've seen his fight versus Brandon Allen. He looked better against Brandon Allen than Tom Breese did. Can't tell me otherwise on that.
Yep.
I know this guy's got some grappling as well. It's that you see in his debut against Parker Porter, he likes to throw them hands. He likes to get off to a quick start. He likes to take you out. I think this fight comes down to cardio, and it'd be a good live betting opportunity. Because really, when you look at Chris Daukaus and he has that loss to, I can never pronounce it, Aniwa Nzikwu?
Oh, in Azuna and Wanyu or Anyanwu.
It's no disrespect to him. He's a badass. While he's a 40-year-old stocky, absolutely fucking ripped, that guy. But again, it's like you shouldn't be losing these spots. And after a decent first round, he starts to tire. Once he tires, he's got a problem on his hand. When you look at the win over Parker Porter, it's quick. When you look at a lot of his other wins, they're quick. All 3 of his pro losses are all by inside the distance finish once he starts to get tired. Nascimento hasn't given us a reason to think he's not durable. So if Daukaus goes out there and styles on him in the first round, but it gets out of the first round, and Daukaus starts to tire, and eventually Nascimento does end up on top of him, he probably does put him away. So this is definitely a live bet situation where early line, I think I almost like Daukaus. And if you let the fight go 1 round and Daukaus looks good in the first round, you're never going to get that price tag on him ever again. But with Nascimento at 265, you could let him maybe play out that first round. If he survives, he doesn't look like he's getting tired. It looks like Daukaus is starting to slow down a little bit. Then you pull the trigger on him there. But I got this actually, I would line it closer to a pick 'em, really. It'd be like Nascimento minus 140 as far as I'm concerned. So when you look at 225, it's a nice price tag. It causes you to want to take that pull
He's
on
young,
the dog.
developing. We just haven't seen enough things to be laying the juice like this. I think.
But
That's where
if
it
you
stands.
see Topuria, Bhullar, and Daukaus, like those are 225, 220, and 160 at the bottom of a PRP. But if the PRP does then hit, like that's gonna just juice it up supremely. As far as regular parlays, you can maybe add one of those guys to really juice it up. But realistically, let's put some of the safe guys together. And then as far as the other ones, live plays in game, you can bet some props. If you want a little action per fight, bet it per fight. But I think there's a lot of variables. Anyways, kind of back to what you were saying. You open at 300, he's 265 now. Middling heavyweights. We talked about middling heavyweights. I don't think Aspinall is one of them. These are two of them, and it could swing either way. So buyers beware.
Well,
if you want that
Nascimento's
kind
still
of price
young
tag.
and developing, so we'll see
But
where
he needs to
ends.
develop. 3-year long leaves at 2 fights in the last 3 years.
Fair, but
Like,
we'll see where he ends up. I'm not.
Yeah.
I'm not saying that he's going to be destined for middling heavyweight for the rest of his
No,
career.
he's
at a great gym. The right people are
And-
putting their money and stuff. Who's the guy from ATT?
Dan Lambert,
No, the other guy. The
Conan Silvera.
the other guy.
Which one? Which guy? What does he do? What's
He's
his
like a
job
manager. Manager for a lot of the guys that don't speak English. He does their interviews and stuff.
role? I don't know. Why does somebody like
You'd
him?
recognize his face.
I'm
no,
sure I
but
would.
that guy's, you'll see him do like the interviews for like Johnny Lineker and stuff like that. Like they see something in the kid. So
Yeah.
I'm not.
Daukaus could be good too. He looked really good in his debut, but he's got to do that 2-3 more times before it's like, oh shit, this guy's for real. Now 31, he needs to put a statement together against Nascimento.
100%. All right, we got Impa Kasanganay taking on Joaquin Buckley. Kasanganay minus 245 favorite. Buckley plus 205. Leaning towards the dog here again in this spot. It's more of a price play. Watching Kasanganay against Maki Pitolo's last fight. Most of that fight takes place on the feet, and it's pretty damn competitive. Buckley, watch his fight against Kevin Holland. And, that guy is throwing heaters.
Everything he throws. is
Everything.
heaters.
And, he was...
3-punch combo heaters.
Within about 4 minutes, you were watching the fight, and you're like, does this guy just breathe loud, or is he gassing? But, as the fight went on, he kind of continued. Round 3, obviously, fell off, but that was shorter notice.
Short
I'm expecting
notice,
to see
yeah.
better from him. I think this fight is just closer. This is closer to 50-50, 60-40 than the current price indicates. If Kasanganay probably wants to maybe take this to the mat, but I don't know if he can. Buckley's a really short, stocky guy. I tried to look up the fight between Logan Storley and Joaquin Buckley to see how that one played
Logan
out.
Storley's one hell of a wrestler.
No, I know, just to see what Buckley's take. I know that he got taken down a whole bunch in that fight.
But it's Logan Storley.
Yeah, I think this is pretty competitive. I see Buckley throws heaters. He definitely was able to throw heaters all the way into round 2. Got caught by just such a picture perfect straight right from Kevin Holland to get finished in round 3 in that fight. But it was competitive those first 2 rounds, and I think Kevin Holland, from what we've seen, the new Kevin Holland is a step up from Impa, in my opinion. So it's dog or pass, likely a pass, but we'll see where your head's at.
I almost went with 4 dogs in a row right there because, I see the merit 100% to Joaquin Buckley. I think not only big takeaway, him versus Kevin Holland, man, he's throwing heat, and he carries it for 7 or 8 minutes. But Kevin Holland's so long and so rangy that these missiles that this guy's throwing are coming up short. You give him a guy closer to his height, maybe he can put it together. And listen, he's 5'10". Buckley is. He used to fight at 170. He's not exactly the biggest middleweight. Now he gets a guy that's only 5'11".
Same reach.
Same reach, only an inch taller than him. Maybe these bombs do land. With Impa's been touched up before, right? It's just generally these guys don't have the most power. Pitolo hits him with a couple good punches, but Pitolo gasses after the first round, not able to carry it. I almost feel like if Buckley carries it for the first 2 rounds, why can't he teach
Buckley
something?
gave up 8 inches of reach in that fight against Holland. And when you watch that fight, that's exactly his problem. He couldn't get inside of range.
He misses by 6 inches,
and he's gonna,
right?
and he was getting
he's 8 inches out. Yeah.
Holland could just hang back and just counterpunch all day long.
That's exactly it. Not only that, he takes the fight on short notice. He's huffing and puffing the entire time he gets there. But we talk about Impa. Impa's so green. Impa's so young. Impa's making improvements. This kid's only 26 years old as well, Joaquin Buckley. Only here's the key difference here, right? Impa Kasanganay turned professional in 2019. 1 year. 1 year pro experience under his belt, and he's looked awesome, good. He's won 8 fights in a row. A split decision over Devorius Tubbs, but he's young, he's growing. The Kalen Hill fight, they didn't give him a contract, and he sat on the sidelines for a year. Comes back, beats Anthony Adams. Sugarfoot just lost his second Contender Series fight as well. Wins that one. Gets Maki Pitolo. Abysmal run in the UFC for Maki Pitolo. And not a 185er. Probably be best served at 170 if he could make that weight class. Beats Maki Pitolo in a competitive fight. But he tries to take Pitolo down and he can't. Pitolo's a boxer. Should be able to take this guy down. So to think that now the game plan is going to be go and take down Joaquin Buckley, I don't see it happening. But as we talked about, here's two 26-year-olds. And Impa turned pro in 2019 versus Joaquin Buckley, same age, 5-time Bellator veteran. Fought his last 2 fights for LFA. Fought good guys. Been rounds. This guy's a lot further along in his process of developing. Impa probably got higher trajectory. He's a former collegiate football player. He seems like a better athlete. Seems like he's got better footwork. He doesn't have a great gauge of distance. And with Buckley, if he's swinging punches on you, and you don't got a great gauge, Kevin Holland can gauge it. He's so big. He can jab, right
8
hand.
inches reach. So he was able to, and like he's been getting better at like punching or being at the end of his punches.
And this guy was throwing heat to the body too. That it's like you knew if that hits, you shitting blood for a week. At least.
Hilarious rewatch that fight,
But he
by
is
the
huffing
way.
and
It's just like
puffing the
because
entire
there's no crowd. And Kevin Holland, well, the breathing was very loud, but he was able to maintain. But no, Kevin Holland was just talking so much shit the entire time. It's a fun one to rewatch.
It's a fun one to rewatch, and the thing with Kevin Holland, he gets in your head and he plays games, and now you get caught playing his games. And I remember the commentary were like, "This is 2 minutes into the second round," because then he started getting tied around that 3-minute mark. They're like, "Buckley hasn't really slowed down with these, but like he's just throwing. It's all missing, not all of it. A lot of it's missing."
That's all you hear. The
Yeah.
entire
So now
second half
you
of the
give
fight.
him more of a camp, right? He just got his UFC debut out of the way. He just fought a top 15 contender, right? That's all out of the way, and he's now taking an Impa, 26, young, green, undefeated. And I tell you all the time, Paul, love to see these undefeated guys learn a lesson, lose a fight, learn, get a takeaway. It's gonna happen. He's still green. They're doing a good job of moving him along slowly, but it just so happens that Joaquin Buckley is not just your average 0-1 guy in the UFC. He's got some experience. He's got some talent.
Completely like he belonged against Kevin Holland the first 2 rounds, and then
Fair,
he got caught by
fair.
just a beauty.
But I sat here and told you I got Topuria. I sat here, I told you I'm gonna take KB Bhullar. I sat here and told you I'm even gonna ever so slightly, don't know why I'm gonna do it, lean towards Daukaus on this one. I pussed out on the Joaquin Buckley play. I pussed out on it. So I think I'm either pass is probably your smart move. But when you get a dirty parlay at the end of the week, Kasanganay will be at like near the bottom of it.
Your guy Tony Kelley looking good in his 135-pound frame. Saw a picture up on the interwebs. He's
big
looking
for 35.
looking pretty jacked. He takes on Ali Alqaisi, -230 Kelley, +190 Alqaisi. What's your take here?
Yeah, so Alqaisi's going to have a lot of problems here. Is that coming into the UFC, he had fought on limited... Brave is a great regional show. It's just some of the competition that he had fought on the regional scene, not exactly great. He's got a nasty guillotine choke, very tight. Maybe if he was to grab a hold of Tony Kelley's neck early in the round while he still got some strength and Tony Kelley's not able to get out of it, maybe he was able to catch him in a submission. But beyond that, it's like he needs to rely on his takedown game for the course of 3 rounds in order to do anything. And he just didn't show you enough against Irwin Rivera. So against limited competition on the regional scene, he is strong. He is physical. He does have a decent takedown game. When he fought Irwin Rivera, I thought it was a very simple striker versus grappler. He showed good striking in the first round. He spent a lot of time at Phuket top team. He showed a nice little head kick, very quick little snap on it as well. But beyond the first round, his striking goes out the window because he just reverts to what he's more comfortable with, which is his grappling. And even though he goes out there and he takes down Irwin Rivera multiple times, Rivera just gets up. He keeps just getting up. Rivera is not a known grappler, and Casey just can't hold him down. Now, the key difference is that Irwin Rivera's, you got the number right there, is what? Is he what, 5'4"? 5 foot, is he listed as a 5'6"?
Irwin Rivera, I think he's listed as 5 foot. I got it right here. 5'6".
He's 5'6", and Tony Kelley...
Which is probably like, There's somebody a little later on the card where it's just like, oh, your reach is 67 and a half, you say. It's not true. So, like, I feel like on Tapology, which is where I usually look, like, you're able to kind of submit whatever it
No,
is.
Tony Kelley. Sorry, yeah. It's always bullshit on Tapology, but if you go to Fight
Like,
Metric,
the actual UFC, they actually
go to
get
Fight
measured
Metric.
there. I mean, you keep talking. I'm going to have to go
Well,
to a
anyway,
different
so
website
the
to
point was that he was able to
this
take
for
down
you.
Erwin Rivera, who's a striker, but Erwin Rivera is 5'6". He's not exactly a grappler. He's not exactly the biggest of guys. But Tony Kelley, he's 5'9". He's coming down from 145 pounds. This is the first time in his career he's ever fought down at 135 pounds. You see those pictures of him online. He's a big guy. If Alqaisi's struggling to take down Erwin Rivera, and furthermore is really struggling to hold Erwin Rivera down, he's not taking down and holding down the bigger man in Tony Kelley. Now, Tony Kelley looked like $1 million in the first 2 minutes against Kamaka.
5'6".
Footwork was awesome.
Rivera.
He's in and out. He's fast. He's agile. He's got good output. He's got some diverse attacking. And then call it, he took the fight at short notice. Call it the pressure of being in his UFC debut. Call it all these different things. He definitely gasses out in the later part of the first round. He looks tired in the second and the third. But, man, he's a dog. He's willing to stand with you and throw. He's got good combination punching. It's not the prettiest performance. It is sloppy at times, but it's just a display of heart. Now, mind you, this is a guy that had like one fight in 3 years prior to that, but he had been 5 rounds in the LFA versus Kevin Aguilar. It was before it was named LFA. LFC. 5 rounds of Kevin Aguilar, split decision loss to him. It's like he's got a willingness, he got good cardio, but he was short notice, tough matchup, and Kamaka looked fast. And Kamaka's hands looked tight. And Kamaka took him down 5 times. And he overcame all of those issues and gave this guy a damn good fight.
Yeah, well,
Now he gets
bullshit round
Alqaisi.
3
Total bullshit.
nut shot, which saved Kamaka energy. He was wilting. Tony Kelley was coming on. That was kind of that was super tilted.
Now, Kamaka took him down 5 times, which is a problem because Alqaisi is going to try to do the same thing. The difference is that Alqaisi is not going to be able to keep that wrestling going like Kamaka, I don't think. And then beyond that is that Kamaka is just the bigger, stronger man, and he wasn't able to hold him down either. So same thing, if Alqaisi does manage to take him down and he's not able to hold him down, then what you have is Tony Kelley popping up and putting it on him. One thing that I was definitely looking at was... So Kelley beat this Andy before the Kamaka fight. He beat Andy Brossett. It was 2-5 with the guillotine choke. The 2 wins before that, Kevin Aguilar and Levi Moles are both split decision. That dates back the span of 5 years. So he has 1 finish in 5 years, and it was over an opponent that was 2-5. Alqaisi, meanwhile, has finished a lot of these lower end opponents, but his last 3 wins are the 3 best guys he's fought. A little bit of a competition, all decisions. This fight's going to decision. I'm almost fucking 100% sure of it. But it's minus 195, fight goes the distance. So you're not actually getting a good price on it. But what I'm saying is that I got Tony Kelley. Tony Kelley's minus 230. If I didn't feel comfortable with Tony Kelley at 230, I would just take fight goes the distance. Don't give a shit who wins. It's going the distance. And you're getting a better price on that instead of just betting a straight up Kelley play.
All right, cool. Now we got Omar Moraes taking on Giga Chikadze. Minus 145 Moraes, plus 125 Chikadze. Any strong leans here?
Yeah, so originally it was like, wow, do I smell another dog play here in Giga Chikadze plus 125? He's just an excellent striker. We all know about this. We know about his pedigree. We know about the Kyokushin Karate black belt. We know about his time spent with the Glory Kickboxing Organization, which is the most prestigious kickboxing organization on the planet. We know about all this. You got to take this guy down. If you don't take this guy down, you're in for a world of shit. So when it gets announced that he's against Omar Moraes, Omar Moraes is just going to stand and strike with him. This is a Giga win. The problem is that Giga's striking translates a lot better to kickboxing than it does to MMA because he's a point-style fighter. For a guy that just has such a wicked striking acumen, he doesn't have a whole lot of power. Again, you look at his MMA record, he's knocked guys out, but
Damian
they're
Manzanares,
always
0-1. CJ Baines, 2-31.
2-31. He knocks
The
those
other
guys
guy,
out, no
yeah.
doubt about it.
0-0, Kevin Cerrone. Everybody that he's fought has a losing record, and like some of them are laughable. Julian Hernandez, 0-13. Anthony Ross, 1-10. Yeah, and these are all first round knockout wins for him. They're literally all against they're basically like throwing me or you in there.
So now
against
he draws Brandon Davis.
I'm sure those guys would probably kick my ass too, but
yeah,
you
maybe
know.
not CJ Baines, but I hear what you're saying. He has beaten 2 guys, so what'd they look like? Yeah. So now he takes an actual fighter on in Brandon Davis. And Brandon Davis is 2-5 in the UFC, but let's not even talk about that. Brandon Davis has a pulse. He's got a willingness to fight. He's a scrappy guy. That's the first real opponent he takes on. And he wins. Split decision. The knockout wasn't there. He didn't... I just honestly... Brandon Davis is able to last with him. Jamal Emmers, who literally... I don't think he figured out the fight had started till about 9 minutes into it. But fuck, man, like just a terrible game plan. And Jamal Emmers is known as a chinny opponent. But the power's not there. Wins a split decision over. Erwin Rivera.
It's super durable.
Erwin Rivera's 5'6".
Tougher than a $2 steak.
Who? Erwin Rivera. Very durable.
Rivera, yeah.
Very durable. Now, Erwin Rivera stands at 5'6". We discussed that. And
Like he's got like little alligator arms, 68 inch.
Right, of course. Giga Chikadze is 6 feet tall. Okay, has a 74-inch reach.
Yeah.
Didn't hurt him. Stood at range.
No, he won it cleanly. I think he scored like 70 points on DraftKings. It was like a clean.
He took him down at one point. He was tired of striking with him. He took him down.
It was a clean win, and he has like real pretty looking strikes. But yeah, they're not packing a punch. So this is like an MMA striker versus a kickboxer, is what you're saying.
Yeah, well, then you look at his glory fights, and it's the same thing, right? So karate's not all karate's created equal. You think about karate, you think about Lyoto Machida, right? Then there's that like American-style long pant karate, which is Stephen Wonderboy Thompson. That has proven to be the most effective style of karate. Then you have Kyokushin karate. There's nobody rocking that Marcin Prachnio. He was rocking that.
Oh, yeah, good
Didn't work for him. Georges St. Pierre, that's his base. That didn't win him world championships. Wrestling did. Mm-hmm. You have Giga Chikadze. There's no money in kickboxing, and there's no more matchups for him. And he's not a superstar in the kickboxing because he's not finishing guys. It's the logical choice to take MMA fights. He can beat low-end guys. He's 3-0 in the UFC. And I like Brandon Davis. And Jamal Emmers has got some upside. And Erwin Rivera is tougher than a $2 steak. They're not bad wins. By no stretch, they're not bad wins. I just mean to think he's just going to beat every striker he faces because he's some super high-caliber strike. Bullshit. It's bullshit. Omar Moraes, 34 years old, maybe seems a little bit old considering he's just coming to his own. This is actually his featherweight debut. So he fights Benitez at 155. He takes on Jung Young Ma at 55. This is his 45 debut.
The other Dun Young Kim.
34 years old coming down. But one thing with him at lightweight is he is strong, man. Big leg kick, big right hand. He's very difficult to push back. He doesn't throw a ton, but when he does, it's meaningful. The Benitez fight, Benitez is in it with him early, but then he starts to touch him, and he hurts him. Now, here's an interesting thing. Omar Moraes, again, known as a murderous power puncher, gets his Contender Series fight against Harvey Park, knocks him senseless in the second round after buckling his leg in the first, gets Dung Yun Ma, can't put Dung Yun Ma out. Dung Yun Ma has 5 losses in the UFC, 4 of them are by knockout, 3 of them in the first round. Murderous power puncher Omar Moraes couldn't knock him out. Gabriel Benitez, very durable, couldn't knock him out. Giga, not knocking guys out. Striker versus striker. This is going the distance. And I think Omar Moraes is going to land the more meaningful shots, and I think that he will sprinkle in a takedown. He ended up on top of Dung Yun Ma and Gabriel Benitez, and his top game is actually pretty legit. It's just
Over
he doesn't
2.5 is minus 220.
He doesn't pursue a whole lot of takedowns. But if he does end up on top, I think he'll be okay. So he's got that in the back pocket. He could take down Giga Chikadze. Giga's no good on the ground. If he doesn't take down Giga Chikadze, what's the way to beat Kyokushin karate, Paul? Dutch style Muay Thai. And I honestly think that the leg kick, the outside game, that big right hand, Giga will manage the distance better. Giga will throw kicks. But Omar Moraes is good at catching kicks and converting them to trip takedowns. So if that's the case, Giga doesn't want to get taken down. He doesn't throw the kicks. Moraes just ever so slightly. They're both low output. But the low output, stronger guy, a little more zip on his punches is Moraes. So I got Moraes by decision. I got the fight goes in distance.
Tracy Cortez takes on Stephanie Egger. Egger coming in on relatively short notice, but she's no slouch. Tracy Cortez is a minus 200 favorite. I think she was like minus 300 a day ago. Money is coming in on Egger, who can be had for plus 170. What's your take here?
Yeah, so I think I'm going to end up with Tracy Cortez, and I've got absolutely very abysmal faith in it. Egger is no joke, and Egger matches up with her pretty well here. It's just the short notice nature of Stephanie Egger making her debut.
Egger fought like a month ago, though.
Was it even a month ago? I thought it was less than that. Nothing happens in the fight, though, Paul. She doesn't throw. She throws one single strike. It's overhand right into a body lock clinch, takes her down.
I know. She's fighting absolute, she's fought in
it was a month ago,
and stuff. Yeah, so Sinja Kiefer, I watched that fight at Buddy MMA Clash 3. Yeah, there wasn't much there. She just kind of pushed in, took her down. Once she took her down, she just had her way with her. This is a great grappler. My issue with Cortez is
Cortez is not a great grappler.
She kind of
man.
wants to wrestle. She gives up a lot of height, reach, size in this fight. Like, I don't think this is a good spot for Tracy Cortez at all.
I honestly agree. And if it wasn't for the fact that Egger was coming in a short notice, I'd pull the trigger. But Tracy Cortez has a good gas tank. And as long as she doesn't get submitted in the first 2 rounds, she'll break her down, she'll take her out. I think that's the way it plays out. Stephanie Egger is fucking OG, man. This is a girl that we talk about judo and, maybe... Who were we talking about in judo earlier? He's got a brown belt. Was it? Poor old Alan Baudot. No, Stephanie Egger's a legitimate judo black belt. She won the European under-23s. She actually defeated Ronda Rousey in a judo match. So as far as her judo pedigree goes, it's second to none. She transitions to MMA. She's looking good. I mean, she actually beat Meryl Barella in an Italian Regency. Barella's, I get it. She's cut from the UFC and she's long, but it's just you're fighting talent that eventually made it somewhere. Mm-hmm. Good start. The Alexa Connors fight in Invicta is what's the most telling. Now, it's 4 years ago, no doubt. But after a competitive first round, she starts to get tired. The more tired she gets, Paul, her just striking is not there. It's very robotic. It's very stiff. It's very rigid. And it's very easy to time. Alexa Connors absolutely thrashes her in the 3rd round. It's probably a 10-8 round. She ends up losing a split decision, and then that's been her career. She resurfaced for Ryzen 17 against Reina Miura, King Reina, who's a fan favorite out that way. And she put on one hell of a show against Reina Miura. She looked good. She looked solid. Losing to Gabby Garcia at ADCs is no fucking joke, man. That's a feather in your cap. You're going against Gabby Garcia. If you're sitting on a computer right now and you don't know who that is, Google that really quickly.
Monster.
She's a BJJ black belt. She's a judo black belt. She's big for the weight class. She's strong. She's got a really good body lock takedown. She really likes the trips from that inside clinch position. Tracy Cortez's takedown defense, not that good. Her ground game off her back, not that good. You saw her actually struggle in a few spots against Maria Agapova on the ground. Her fight with Erin Blanchfield, I thought she lost. The notable thing there is that Blanchfield's 19 years old and was able to put on a grappling clinic. That fight was in 2019. Tracy Cortez needs time to develop. Egger's already a seasoned veteran. Egger's already competed internationally in both judo and Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu and is now coming to the UFC. Just fought a month ago. She's got a lot of good stuff going her way. But I go back to the Alexa Connors fight, and I think that's what's going to happen. Tracy Cortez has a notable striking advantage here, even though she's going to get hit because her striking defense is not very good. She keeps coming forward, and I think that she will break Egger down, as Egger's just not known for her cardio. Winning, by the way, in a month ago, that's fine. With nothing happening to exert you, there's no experience. You're not banking rounds. Whereas Vanessa Mello made that a lot closer against Tracy Cortez than I would have ever liked to have seen. But at least it's giving Tracy Cortez rounds to figure it out, getting more octagon time, getting more cage time, getting more comfortable. She's got 3 brothers. 2 of them are professional fighters. One of them is an ex-professional fighter who ended up getting, I think it was cancer, something sidelined him, which kind of motivates her and her story and all this and that. But at the end of the day, like, she comes from a fighting family. She's really motivated to do this. She's going to make improvements, and she's getting ring time. And ever so slightly, in a greasy fight that are going to probably come down in the 3rd round, Tracy Cortez is going to win it. Now, at minus 200, is that the kind of thing I want to have a ton of faith in? No. I'm reading it like you. If I was going to pick my favorite underdogs on this card, you got your Topuria, Bhullar, Daukaus, Buckley, Egger. There's good dogs on this card. I don't feel the need to force all of them, and that's why I'm not going to force Buckley. I'm not going to force Egger. I think I'm going to go with the other 3, and I'm just going to hit a hard pass on this one. If not, Tracy Cortez will again on this.
Here's what happened in the last little bit. I did have a Stephanie Egger play in plus 170. I just cashed out of that, but I added Egger by submission plus 900.
There you go.
If she tires out and doesn't get through it, like, she's probably gonna have to do it in the first round or so. I just think that I see a lot of Tracy Cortez trying to get the fight to the mat in all of her fights here.
Put it on her.
And I just worry about armbar from guard.
Yeah. And Stephanie Egger, by the way, is the kind of person that armbar you from guard. She's a judo specialist.
Yeah, exactly.
She's a BJJ black belt. Come on.
9-1.
Yeah, that's not actually the
Get
worst
it in
one.
ya. Anyway, last fight that we got Tagir Ulanbekov taking on Bruno Silva. Tagir minus 400 favorite. Bruno plus 325. Tagir, number 1 ranked flyweight prospect coming out of Russia. Team Habib guy. You see all of the regular guys in his corner. Watching some tape on him, I think the one thing that, and it's probably because he's a flyweight, he's a 5'7" flyweight.
Tall, yeah.
He's very tall, but he doesn't seem like when you see Khabib or Islam, like they have, especially Khabib, just a certain level of strength too. It's the same game. It's push the guy up against the cage, take him down, arm lock, right? Like grabbing their wrist control from the other side. It's the same type of chain wrestling, but it just doesn't look as powerful coming from a 5'7" flyweight. I was hoping for a reason to maybe fade him, but this ain't the spot. Bruno Silva is a flyweight that can only fight 10 minutes. He's gassed out real hard in his previous fights in the UFC here. I'm not entirely sure what he's particularly the best at. I don't think that Tajir is on the same level as maybe a Khabib or an Islam even, but he has enough to get through this spot. I mean, some sort of submission is obviously live with a very inexperienced young guy like this who's always going into or trying to get into grappling exchanges. But Bruno, once you get to round 3, Bruno's pretty cooked. You saw that in the Khalid Taha fight. It's just like he tried to chase some takedowns, doesn't really have any sort of wrestling. He's not going to try to take down Tajir, but Tajir should be able to push him up against the cage, get him down to the mat. As long as he can stay out of an early submission where they're both dry, he should cruise in this fight, probably by decision. But third round win for Tajir wouldn't surprise me either. What's your take here?
I think Tajir absolutely styles on him, makes it look easy, and it shows you that he's another one of these dominating Russian prospects. He's not just a Russian prospect. He's a Dagestani prospect. That's what we love first and foremost. He's not one of these guys that his last name ends with a E or a K. If it doesn't end with a V, it's not from me. This guy is inner circle with Khabib in the family. Now, he's listed under a few publications as Khabib's cousin. I think
they all just call
I think
each
it's
other
lost
cousins.
in translation. I think it's just like, this is my cousin. Oh, this is my cousin. I think it's like a term of endearment.
Yeah, it's like he's my friend, he's my brother.
Yeah, right. But I mean, what does this picture look like to you, Paul? That middle one there.
Oh, is that Tajir and Khabib as children?
Tajir and Khabib as children. I thought that one was
Send
super.
me that picture.
I know. I
so
thought that
can,
one was super
throw
interesting.
it up for the people right now.
Yeah, I'll send it to you. Anyways, I thought that one was super interesting. Then you click on it, right? And it's all in Russian, whatever. You just Google translate it. And it's the distant 2008, this is 12 years ago, the distant 2008 training camp in the mountains of Tumadinsky region was
Can't even pronounce it.
was preparing for the Dagestan Combat Sambo World Championship. Seeing me off to Fight Island this morning, Khabib, okay? He's 2008's 12 years ago. The guy's 29 now. The picture's taken, he's like 16 years old. Training in the fucking mountains with Khabib Nurmagomedov for a Combat Sambo Championship. By the way, he's a 6-time Russian Combat Sambo champion. Oh, and a 1-time world champion at Combat Sambo. The guy's fucking cast iron, man. He's not just one of these guys that's in the camp. You look at stuff that's like, it's all in Russian. Who cares? We're just watching. We're watching. Don't care about the listening. It's Khabib all like blogs. These guys are tight, man. They're like swing by Tagir's place.
He
We
just
need to
doesn't
pick
look
him
very
up for practice.
physically strong. Maybe if he...
You would think he doesn't look very physically strong, but it's similar to we like Islam Makhachev. We like Khabib Nurmagomedov. We like these guys that are short, stocky, stout power wrestlers.
This guy's more long.
No, he's more of a Zabit, right? He's got a long, lanky frame, and as a result, they got a lot of leverage on guys. John Jones isn't short, stocky power wrestler. He's a long guy that's got leverage. This guy makes leverage work for him. Okay. So he starts off his career. Now he's a Combat Sambo world champ. He starts off his professional career, easily racks up a first 9 victories. He wins the Fight Night Global Flyweight Championship, beats Vartanian, Asartanian, Shadil Hodukos. These are good fighters. He's able to pick up a couple victories, and he gets Zalgas Zumagulov. Zalgas Zumagulov now fights in the UFC, right? Lost his debut, total bullshit decision in my opinion. Is a tough fucking dude, okay? He takes this fight at Fight Nights Global 88. The fight takes place in Kazakhstan, okay? Zalgas Zumagulov is a national hero in Kazakhstan. Ulanbekov, Tagir, goes out there and dominates all 5 rounds. He takes him down 8 times. He does not lose any of the 5 rounds. They give it to a majority decision to Zalgas. Interesting to note, they were so disgusted with that decision. Khabib's dad, who was his chief cornerman, by the way, they all just shake their head and walk away. He never fought for the Fight Nights Global promotion ever again. He instead went to an all-Dagestani promotion owned by Kadyrov called GFC, where he's racked up 3 victories over 3 decent fighters. That's how disgusted they were at that. He was the champ in that organization.
I watched his last 2. His one against Danielson.
Watch the fight with Zalgas and tell me one round where he loses. He takes him down. He takes Zalgas down 8 times. And does he do a whole lot with the takedowns? No. Did early young Khabib in the UFC do much with his takedowns, Paul?
Not really, no.
No, he just controls you. Absolutely dominates you and controls you. I honestly think he goes out there and outstrikes Bruno Silva if he pleases. But the better path to victory is to take Bruno Silva down. Bruno Silva is a training partner of Henry Cejudo. He's worked with the Pitbull brothers.
Cejudo's not even in the gym right now, is he?
And I don't think the Pitbull brothers are putting hard work in with Bruno Silva. But all the same, he can wrestle a little bit. He can strike a little bit. But you've seen through 2 fights in the UFC. The Taha fight doesn't look great, okay? His grappling doesn't look very good. And here's one very notable thing. Taha is a German striker, okay? When Taha ended up on top of Bruno Silva, who I think is listed BJJ black belt, he's got no game off his back.
It was round 3 because
he's got no game off his back. He gets submitted.
And it's round 3. Like once this guy gasses, like he's cooked.
Now he gets David Dvorak, right? The first round he takes down Dvorak, but he's not able to submit him. Yeah, it's a good first round. I thought he won the first round. It's a good. Now in the second round he starts to fatigue. Now, by the way, the later the fight goes, when David Dvorak, a debuting Czech prospect, ends up on top of Bruno Silva, he's got no game off his back. So whereas I'm always weary, debuting Russians taking on Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu black belt, what if he puts his head into a submission? The guy is literally shown nothing off his back. Maybe he tries to get up, but he's not looking to submit. That'll be the key difference. I think Tagir absolutely styles on him because I don't think you're going to get him at minus 400 by the time this fight happens. If you're looking to get on stuff early, I like him and Aspinall or minus 400, minus 500. You parlay them together, you don't even get even money. Those are our 2 building blocks. From there, we're going to look to add in those other pieces. But when the odds makers tell you that they like 260 Tom Breese, fuck no. 265 Rodrigo Nascimento? No way. 245 Kasanganay? I'm just not seeing it personally. 200 for 200 for Tracy Cortez? I don't like that. You make a lot of sense with Edson Barboza. You add him on a ticket with those 2, you get, I think,
I
even
have
money.
Aspinall and Barboza together.
Yeah, and I could see Tagir just winning the decision because Bruno has shown some durability and he didn't get finished in his prior 2 UFC fights. And with Tagir, he likes to have a slow grind on you and try to finish you later. So maybe it goes to decision. But I like this kid. He's
Yeah, I would be worried about.
I'd
be worried about the props with Tagir because I have. Yeah, Bruno Silva has shown us that like if this is a high pace type of fight and he's getting dominated, I could see not a quit job per se. After the Taha fights, like you can't necessarily be like, hey, this guy's gonna get to the final bell if he's down 2 rounds. That Tagir could get the finish.
Yeah,
quite easily. All right, let's jump into the DraftKings breakdown for this real quick. Let's pull up the boards there, Matty. All right, top of the board, Tom Aspinall, Alan Baudot. Pretty clear that we both like Aspinall in this spot. Tagir, like him as well. I mean, that's a real decision point that you're going to have this week. Tom Aspinall or Tagir Ulanbekov at the top.
Well, I think you go Aspinall. The
first round finish.
You're going for the first round finish from Aspinall. The higher upside could potentially be Ulanbekov if he goes out there and scores you your 8-9 takedowns. I don't think Bruno Silva's getting back up. I think if he does get back up and he goes right back down, it's not going to translate to a 17 takedown performance. And because he likes that grinding, smothering style, without a TKO or a submission, it could be slightly on that lower scoring style. So
it's a tough decision. Most people are going to have one of those top 2 guys, I imagine, this week.
Yeah.
Then you got Nascimento and
them,
Breese and Cortez. That seems like a pretty dead range to me.
Yeah. Looking at it through there, I don't like Rodrigo Nascimento. I mean, could he go out there? If Chris Daukaus gets tired after the first and rolls over sometime the second or third, Rodrigo Nascimento.
Yeah, I don't like him as a player.
He would most definitely be the play. With Tom Breese, you got to believe Tom Breese is going to go and finish a guy that he's never been finished. He's never even lost for that matter. With Tom Breese, man, he's such a head case that I don't think he's ever going to fulfill that potential that you want him to. I looked at you in the eyes. I was like, oh, dude, Mirsak Bečić is a flop, eh? You always think he's going to be so good, and he just never is. It's like, you betting him in this spot? It's Damon Jackson. Yeah, I'll let it roll one more. No, don't do it. he's got a way of losing. He's got a way of getting in front of his own fucking way.
That's what he does.
Tom Breese is the same way. Now Mirsad Bektas never pulled out a fight due to anxiety, so I can't back Breese. With Tracy Cortez, you could put it on Edgar, but Edgar could slow her down. If it's mostly grappling, it's
I
going to
like
slow.
Edgar in GPP.
Yeah, to be honest, you're not too far off
Because if
on
she gets
that.
an early finish here.
Kasanganay's not shown finishing. He's still very green, right? He likes the leg kicks. He likes to kind of swarm you up against the cage, hold you up against the cage, kind of steal the round, so to speak. But I don't think he's a super high scorer. Edson Barboza, if he shows up like 70% of the man that he is capable of being and has been in the
He
past.
should style on Mac
Yeah,
One,
yeah,
and maybe he gets
fucking
taken down.
loves
There
him.
could be some dicey situations. Historically, Edson's not the best DraftKings scorer. Maybe that bites into ownership for him this week. I definitely could see like a return to like the spinning back kick kind of knockout here, though. That's how big I think the gap is between Mac One and Edson on the feet.
I think Makwan's got a way of, when you're that good looking, you don't get hit. Like he'll evade to not take the meaningful damage. Like
Fair.
His
His legs are going to be be that next day. I'll tell you that much.
Damn right. He's got a way of holding on. Honestly, like I could see Ben Rothwell putting Tybura away, so that one looks tempting. It's just he just doesn't.
Tony Kelley, 8,700. Ali Alqaisi.
So the way Kelley threw over 100 significant strikes his last time out while getting taken down 5 times, if Alqaisi doesn't get these takedowns, he's going to look to push it. Alqaisi is durable. I don't see Kelley getting a finish on that one, but I can see Kelley at 8,700 yielding you a good result. With Zalal's on the slower of the scoring side. It's striking, there's not enough of it. It's low volume. It's not a ton of power. He's only got 2 knockouts in his entire career. I don't think he's putting Topuria away. As far as him going out and scoring 5-6 takedowns, which is what he's been doing, and that's his way of scoring, it's going to be difficult against Topuria. And he doesn't do a whole lot with the takedowns. So I don't love Zalal at 8,600. I think Topuria at 7,600 would be the better flip side play
guy
to
just
that.
has first round finishes stacked on each other on his
Yeah,
record.
if Marcin Tybura is taking on a middling, I guess Rothwell's considered middling. If Tybura is taking on some very green European heavyweight at 7,700, maybe he boots him lopsided the head. Problem with Rothwell is like he's been booted lopsided the head, and he's so cast iron.
Low volume heavyweight fight.
But he's very low volume. He needs the finish. He's got a 10-figure guillotine he hasn't pulled out in a while. That's possible. He's also got that good little, left hook over the top as Tybura kind of slows away. The real move here is Ben Rothwell spends 5 minutes in the clinch, up against the cage, holding on to him. The second round, Tybura is tired. Open up your hands. He'll have them down. You'll catch him, knock him out. Ben Rothwell could be a good playoff. Plessis would theoretically be a good play. He's only 8,400. He could get the win. He could score a lot as well.
Perez is super durable.
Super durable. And he's got a way of surviving. He's a natural survivor. BJJ black belt, good chin. He makes it work for him. Omar Moraes versus Giga, that's going the distance. Moraes is not going to land any more than 60 significant strikes. He will get the decision victory. At 8,300, he's just about worth it. Sandhagen, 5 rounds to work with. Flip side to that, you could definitely take Marlon Moraes as well. He's only $8,000. He's got 5 rounds to work with. I really think
So
that the later rounds,
like every single
he
week.
needs to get that finish.
Like every single week, flip a coin on the main event or one of these fights. Like that's kind of, you're going to probably want one of the guys in the main event. I don't know which side I really want to be on. I think either one of them. If Moraes gets an early finish in the first couple rounds, he's going to end up being on a winning lineup. Not necessarily, I guess, if that is the case. If this goes 5 rounds and the type of volume that Sandhagen puts up, like without a doubt, 8,200, he ends up on like the top lineups, and you're gonna need him.
Yeah,
So
and you know
it's-
what? You go back 2 weeks ago, Adesanya versus Paulo Costa. It's just like, oh man, it seems like a 50-50 fight. Oh geez, I don't know.
it's
And
not.
then Adesanya just looks like $1 million. Holy fuck, that was not a 50-50 fight. Then last week we got Holly Holm, Irene Aldana. I don't know. I got Holm. It kind of looks like a 50-50 fight. No, not a 50-50 fight whatsoever. She absolutely goes to this has got the making of, I don't know, it's probably a 50-50 fight. If Sandhagen goes out there, competes to his abilities, like you said, puts on a show, he's going to score big. If Marlon puts on the show, he needs that first round knockout, because beyond that, the output will tail off. He won't add in the takedowns. Key to beating Sandhagen is shoot those takedowns. Without that, I just don't think there's quite enough. But he is only 8,000, and he's got 5 rounds to work with. And he's a guy that's who knocks out Aljamain Sterling? Nobody. Who knocks out Jimmy Rivera?
He's got the
yeah,
power.
nobody. Like, yeah, if he touches you, you're in a world of shit. His last 2 fights haven't gone his way, and I think it's a cardio issue. If he shored that up, great. If not, he's dealing with, altitude Sandhagen. It's going to be a long night.
All right, we're just about out of here, but before we go, drop the PRP on him.
So this is a greasy PRP because we got underdogs and they're big underdogs. I always sit here and try to give you, 9 favorites, 2 dogs. But in this case, we got Sandhagen favorite, Barboza favorite.
Pick the guys who you think are going to win.
Well, yeah, no, but you just naturally always have a couple underdogs in every card. We're going with favorites off the top. Sandhagen, Barboza, Ben Rothwell, Dragos du Plessis, Tom Aspinall. First dog is going to be Ilya Topuria. KV Bhullar, dog number 2. Chris Daukaus is going to be dog number 3. Ooh. Impa Kasanganay, I am going to take him. He's the favorite. Tony Kelley's the favorite. Omar Moraes is the favorite. I'm going to take Tracy Cortez. Really don't like that, and I can see the dog play, but I'm going to take her. And then Tagir, my boy. Ain't nothing going wrong with Tagir. Have Russian prospects blew it for me in the past? Not very often. And honestly, this guy's like, he's not Cody Saftic. He's like inner circle. If Cody Saftic tried to go into that
They're
circle.
brothers.
Imagine Codice was like, the late great father of one Khabib is going to sit here and watch practice. That guy would have got fucking hoofed out of practice 10 minutes in. Let's be real. Only the finest survive in that inner circle.
Oh yeah, in the Nurmagomedov family circle, you only get the fine. Well, I mean,
you can't say Tehugov was a bum performance because it wasn't. Does he always do that? Yeah. Are they always close? Yeah. Is there an argument he won? Yeah. But it's like, come on.
Yesterday they opened Makhachev versus RDA at like minus 800 plus 500. It got bet down, small limits, pretty much immediately to minus 333 plus 275 or so, which I think is a lot more on like minus 800. Islam seemed kind of crazy. I know that they've already set this game plan before. Khabib did it years ago. I'm not sure I'm willing to put. I don't think Islam equals Khabib though. I guess if you're going to make that fight again, they would do that. Yeah. I'm worried right now. Maybe it's just like we're a week out from, or 2 weeks out from Khabib fighting Gaethje, which is a terrifying fight.
That's
but
the
after
fight. That's
seeing Zubi go out there, miss weight by 5 pounds.
That's a strategic move.
And then not really shoot for takedowns. Kind of tire out in round 3, lose round 3 very definitively.
Classic Zubair Tehugov.
I'm worried about what goes on at camp when Abdulmanap, rest in peace, is not in the room.
Yeah, I wondered that.
I'm worried about Makhachev now. Now I'm starting to freak out about Khabib. And maybe I'm overthinking these things, but like just seeing Zubi kind of go out there. I know that some people are like, oh, well, I scored 2 rounds from him. I lost money on it, and I had no problem with Dawadu winning the decision there.
Close fight.
Zubi ran away for the last
Well, he thought he was up too.
Well, you weren't. You can't go and do that.
No, right. You can't assume that. Even though
those rounds were close, I didn't feel like I was robbed by any means. When you look at the stats at the end of the fight, he was outstruck 2-1. He only got 1 takedown at the end of round 2. I had no problem with the decision whatsoever. I'm worried about what's going on in that camp. I'm scared for Khabib against Justin Gaethje, to be perfectly honest right now.
Listen, it is what it is. I think those guys are paying their respects to the late great by going out there and winning world titles and doing the best they can. Yeah, the one thing, though, is that there used to be a time where it was like, fuck, man, if I eat this piece of tiramisu, he's going to kill me. But now, without somebody killing you for eating the piece of tiramisu, maybe you eat it. Then maybe you don't make weight. Mm-hmm. Then maybe you tire after 2 rounds. There's levels, though, right? Chimaev's a natural grappler, and Khabib's a natural grappler, and Islam Makhachev is a natural grappler. Those guys are all real deals. Zabit loves Zabit, not a natural grappler, not the real deal. This kid's a natural grappler. He doesn't have the same height, but he's actually 29, by the way. So, whereas 25-year-old, sub-25, Jourdain, this close to fucking me.
And half decent opponents that he's taking on.
Right. In the case of Zalel versus Topuria, they're both sub 25, so you just gotta make a call. But yeah, as far as giving these guys time to mature, he's fought 5 rounds in Russia against tough competition. He's more battle tested, right? 29 years old. He's only a few years younger than Khabib, who's his cousin, man. Yeah, I like him. So that's about it. Hopefully we can crush a PRP because honestly, just because of the way the dogs play out on this card and there being 2-1 dog choices, it would be one hell of a play. But if not, let's definitely get a 3, 5, and 7 and make some money.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. All right. Thanks, Cody Saftic, breaking down the fights as always. Thanks to producer Matt Best behind the scenes doing all the sweet cuts, adding the graphics, and helping us out around here. So for Cody and Matt, I'm Paul saying goodbye and good luck.
MMA experience! Experience!